All right, I think that's going to do it. Good afternoon, everybody watching around Australia. Good morning if you're over in the west. We have a severe thunderstorm situation developing across Southeast Queensland. We've waited and waited all week for this outbreak, and it is finally here. We have a potentially a very dangerous severe thunderstorm outbreak on the cards right now across Southeast Queensland, including one of the most significant severe thunderstorm potential that we've seen in recent years. We could be seeing something very dangerous, possibly very special later tonight as well. Thunderstorms already beginning to develop. The Bureau of Meteorology has issued a thunderstorm warning across parts of northeastern New South Wales, including a tag for potentially very dangerous severe thunderstorms, including ones that could drop giant hailstones, and that is going to be the theme of today. Lots and lots of thunderstorm activity is expected, and it's just going to go on and on and on. If you've got any questions or comments, please do consider leaving them in the chat as well to the right. We'll get through them as soon as we can. But this thunderstorm situation, very serious and already destructive, not destructive, but dangerous thunderstorms are beginning to develop towards the south of Toowoomba. We've also got one here that's about to go through Ipswich. Looks like we've got a hail core on this one as well. It is all going to be happening in the next hour or so. We're expecting a lot of these thunderstorms to begin developing, and it's also really happening across the border now in towards the northeast of New South Wales. Big thunderstorms beginning to develop there, including potentially severe ones with giant hailstones towards the west of Kempsey and Coffs Harbour, and potentially dangerous severe thunderstorms as well outside of the Hunter region and right down outside of Sydney as well. A couple of thunderstorms now beginning to develop in what is expected to be one of the most significant and extensive severe thunderstorm outbreaks seen in recent years. This is going to be a big one. Now, the schedule for today, obviously I can't talk for 8 hours. That would be superhuman. However, I will be running live coverage at least on 2 separate occasions, if not 3, in between when these thunderstorms are going to be at their strongest, and I'll be giving you the latest information on when these dangerous thunderstorms do approach. So this is the first part of the streaming service today, the build-up. We're going to be talking about what's creating these thunderstorms and what we're expecting later tonight, and then when the dangerous thunderstorms begin developing into the afternoon, we will be back on air talking about these significant thunderstorms that are going to move into the Brisbane area as we get through later today. This is going to be a long one, a lot of coverage, so of course if you haven't already, then please do consider subscribing and leave a like as well. 3 thunderstorms over the border in towards Queensland. We've got that one outside of Warwick towards the west of Warwick right now. This is likely a dangerous severe thunderstorm with large, if not giant, hailstones. One that is a little bit weaker but still quite strong, that's moving into the Harrisville area right now. It's just towards the southwest of Rosewood and about the west-southwest of Ipswich, moving into the Ipswich area potentially in the next half an hour or so. And then we've got one very weak cell up here that did drop a few lightning bolts earlier on. It looked pretty promising once it was north of Woodford towards the east of Kilcoy, and now it's moving across the Birraway area and into the Caloundra area, where a few heavy drops of rainfall are possible. Maybe even some small hailstones, but it isn't a very strong cell. The real action, though, is happening, of course, over the border. We have a couple of very dangerous severe thunderstorms, including an apparent supercell thunderstorm here. We've got a bit of that hook echo type stuff and potentially some rotation developing on this one. This thunderstorm here outside of Torrington and Deepwater, non-severe at this point in time, but still looks rather potent. And then if we have a look at the thunderstorm down here, this is the big one so far outside of 5 Day Creek. And this one moving off in this direction here. Ebor looking at it in the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes or so. We've also got this multicellular thunderstorm here outside of Walcher, and that's also heading up towards the Ebor area. Just big storm trains expected throughout the course of today. Good afternoon to everybody watching. If you've got any questions regarding specific forecasts and details or regards to the forecast in any locations, make sure you do let me know. That's what a lot of this stream is going to be about, tracking the build-up of these thunderstorms and what we are expecting in terms of the forecast throughout the course of today. Now let's see if we can get a good look at this thunderstorm here outside of Harrisville. It looks rather potent. It's very, very isolated in nature, and there's not much happening around it. It doesn't look like it's got much rotation or much going for it in the way of rotation, except if we do zoom in on this thunderstorm, you can see we do have that red area or that yellow area here, and then some stronger blues towards the north and the north east of the cell. So that includes a little bit, that indicates a little bit of rotation is going on, but I would be surprised if that was a full-blown strong supercell thunderstorm at this point in time. So the hail threat from that storm, pretty minimal right now. That Warwick one has been labelled as very dangerous for destructive winds, giant hailstones, and heavy rainfall. BOM has also issued a tornado warning with these thunderstorms. Very, very rare from BOM. And then this thunderstorm here around the Ipswich area. Strong, but not as potent. But yeah, when BOM throws the word of tornadoes around, I mean, these storms, they mean business today. A lot of this activity is expected to be very significant, and the thunderstorms that do develop, they are going to be strong. Mark my words. So just having a look at the Doppler wind radar, very strong rotation on this thunderstorm here towards the south of Toowoomba. It was a little bit more apparent as this storm was a little bit further away, but still some pretty strong and apparent rotation here, and you can make sense of that by looking at these orange colors here towards the northern side of that cell, with that cell being located where that X is, and then those blue colors, which is winds towards the radar, so coming towards the radar in that sort of direction, and then these winds here. That indicates rotation when we've got these strong contrasts between colors, and that is a clear indication that this is a strong supercell thunderstorm. And if we were to zoom in here on the radar imagery with this storm here and had a look at what readings we're getting back here on the radar, just we'll pull it back so that we can get the latest radar imagery. We've got decibel readings here around that 60 to 65, probably pushing closer to 70 in a few spots. Very likely we're seeing large, potentially giant hailstones here, moving into the Mount Gammy sort of area right now. And this is outside of Warwick. This is about 20 minutes away from Warwick, about 20 k's or so. Not far away at all. And this storm could be on a collision course with the areas towards the north of Warwick, and that would include Allora, Leyburn likely to miss it, also same deal with Warwick as well, but we do have this developing cell towards the south, and if we extrapolate that movement, that would bring it right over the town centre of Warwick. That cell just towards the south is one that we are going to have to keep a very close eye on, because it looks like this thunderstorm here is becoming multicellular. But yeah, this Warwick cell, this is very concerning indeed. We've definitely got these thunderstorms that are going to move through in this direction, which would of course put Warwick likely right in the thick of things, unless something was to split off and break away from these thunderstorms. That would throw Warwick right in the mess of these two thunderstorms here. So yeah, looking pretty potent, pretty concerning for the Warwick area. Get to the forecasts in just a second. Yeah, early tornado warnings in Australia, they are unheard of. BOM does not issue these warnings lightly. In their big, broad, severe thunderstorm warning, I believe, yeah, we've got damaging, locally destructive winds. They made mention of tornadoes. I was made aware of that by Trent from Southeast Storm Chasers, that they've included the risk of tornadoes. The environment is just so favourable for these thunderstorms. It's unbelievable, it is. It really is unbelievable just how favourable the conditions are for these thunderstorms. And I mean, the wording from BOM, severe thunderstorms are possible with giant hail, destructive winds developing through southeast parts of the state this afternoon, are expected to continue into the evening. They're not going to happen, they are expected to happen. So for people in the Darling Downs, Granite Belt, Southeast Coast, Wide Bay, South Burnett forecast districts, you are all on notice for something very, very significant throughout this afternoon and this evening. And I mean, it looks pretty tame right now, but these thunderstorms, they're just getting going. Keep in mind, it's just after midday right now, 12:30 in Queensland, 1:30 in New South Wales. These thunderstorms are going to have a lot more time to develop. Now, the reason why the forecast looks rather conservative around the Brisbane area, I mean, this is about as bad as it gets on the axis, and you can see it's a bit blue here, which is weak convective activity when we've got these storms here across the northeast of New South Wales. Now, thunderstorms are, of course, isolated in nature, so they're not going to impact everybody at every point in time. So Brisbane could very well thread the needle between some of these strong thunderstorms. However, it's important to note that these forecast models this morning were taking into account high cloud coverage, and that obviously hasn't eventuated, which is why we're expecting such a cracker outbreak today. And this high cloud coverage would have throttled thunderstorm activity. That's no longer expected to be a concern, and as such, thunderstorms are expected to be very widespread, very powerful, and very significant. And I mean, in terms of just comparing this to a setup that we've had in recent times, later tonight it's going to resemble the Christmas 2023 storms, but in terms of the potency for these regions of Queensland, in terms of what we're looking at here, severe thunderstorm potential-wise, it's almost unheard of. It's unheard of this decade. This is the most significant setup that we've seen since 2020. This is the most significant setup that I've tracked, and we're going to see something very significant tonight. I can practically guarantee that. It's very likely to happen. Tornadoes, giant hailstones, destructive winds, intense rainfall, the whole 9 miles. It is bad, and we just cannot stress that enough. In a caravan, never a good thing. Caravans in this kind of area is never a good thing. Yeah, so is there a warning service for Australia that outlines tornado risk areas? There isn't. I made a graphic earlier today over on the Facebook page regarding those tornado risk areas. And in fact, I'll see if I can pull that up on my page right now and see if I can show you some of the chances that we were talking about for these severe thunderstorms producing tornadoes. So this is a graphic that I made earlier today in regards to tornado percentage chances passing within 50 kilometers of any one point. And those chances there, 5% for a few locations. That's huge. That's unheard of in Australia. The potential today for tornadoes is just that extreme. It is that likely to happen for a few spots. Crazy stuff. And in terms of those risk areas for tornadoes, it is in this yellow outline that I'm highlighting right now. So that would include the Bow Desert area as well, and then up through the South Burnett and into parts of the North Burnett forecast district, also parts of the Scenic Rim, the Gold Coast hinterland, and potentially even later Brisbane and the Gold Coast, depending on how strong these supercells are embedded in those squall lines that we see later this afternoon and this evening. So humid in North Brisbane. It is humid, sticky, and temperatures are climbing. 37 at Roma, 30 degrees through a wide swathe of locations in Southeast Queensland. And it is an ominous picture. It is webcam footage. I mean, this is it here outside of Tenterfield. It's a black picture over those ranges here over towards the, I believe that is the southwest of Tenterfield Airport, so down here outside of Deepwater and Glen Innes. A lot of thunderstorm activity now beginning to develop in those locations, and that would actually be looking at this Deepwater thunderstorm, which in comparison to the other ones is pretty weak. Yeah, so this thunderstorm here, the Warwick one, this is round 2 compared to what happened last night in Warwick. This is just round 2. And it's likely to be even worse. The latest imagery from this thunderstorm here, particularly the one that's going to pass slightly towards the north of Warwick, this is extremely concerning. So Alora, get into your safe spot now. This is a very powerful thunderstorm. Warwick as well, you want to be in your safe spot as well. If we just have a look at how these thunderstorms have developed as of late, they're going to join together by the looks of things, or at least move in tangent to each other. And yeah, we've got this cell here, which is likely to impact these areas highlighted in the red. And then this cell here, which is kind of moving towards the south, but will also clip Warwick. And then that leaves us with a bit of a middle ground here, which Warwick is likely to thread the needle, so conditions won't be as bad into the Warwick area. But they're still expecting some large hailstones, that's for sure. Strong wind gusts, a big temperature drop, and a lot of lightning. So Warwick, you guys are going to be the first places to be impacted substantially by the severe thunderstorms today. Anyone out to the west of Warwick, get out of the severe thunderstorms, pull over. Giant hailstones are coming your way. This is a very powerful severe thunderstorm that's moving into your area. And again, with the Bureau of Meteorology warnings, if we have a look at the... Yeah, it's been tagged as very dangerous. Alora in the thick of things. Just towards the north of Warwick, you guys are in some pretty big trouble as well. Likely to arrive at Alora in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Things are getting nasty. Things are getting very nasty very quickly. And this is exactly how we thought today would pan out. It was going to get very significant very quickly, and it just has. I mean, right out of the gate, powerful supercell thunderstorms already developing, and it's all sorts of problems towards the north of Warwick, and like I said, up towards Alora, and pretty much everywhere around the Alora area up towards Clifton. Thank you so much, Vladnator, for that generous tip. Getting your car in North Brisbane to cover. North Brisbane, you still likely have a little bit of time. You've still got at least an hour or so, I would imagine, until thunderstorms become a concern across Southeast Queensland. Or greater Southeast Queensland along the southeast coast, but at least in North Brisbane you've got a few more hours until these thunderstorms really become concerning. So I wouldn't rush to do anything like that just yet, especially if you do need your car. But after 2 o'clock, get that car away, get into your safe spot, and just hunker down as these warnings come through. And DJ Inferno, thank you for that generous becoming the channel sponsor as well. Brisbane going to thread the needle, fingers crossed, not looking overly likely, and there's a lot of spots in Brisbane that are going to get slammed by these severe thunderstorms. So yeah, it is not a good picture. This afternoon and this evening is the most concerning severe thunderstorm outbreak setup that I have ever seen in my time tracking these severe thunderstorms, and you can see already out of the gate they're a lot stronger than what we initially expected them to be. Now, sweat index is one thing that I wanted to talk about. The sweat index is the severe weather potential index. I cited on a map from Weather Watch, Anthony Cornelius's weather monitoring service. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and I could not recommend that highly enough. Is for a massive swathe of Southeast Queensland. I'm going to vaguely trace it out right now. So it includes Warwick, parts of northern New South Wales as well, Southeast Queensland around the Scenic Rim and Bow Desert, then up to Gympie, Eidsvold and Guyanda. In this area here, so including Toowoomba and Warwick, this is where the sweat index is maxed out. Now, what that means is that severe thunderstorms, there's no more favourable conditions. It is the best of the best. Those severe thunderstorms, it's 100%, it's maxed out. The potential for severe thunderstorms in this area is maxed out. It literally does not get better. There's no inhibiting factors at this point in time for these thunderstorms. There is nothing standing in the way of these thunderstorms from developing and becoming absolute monsters. And we're beginning to see that now with the Warwick thunderstorm here and another thunderstorm now beginning to develop outside of Warwick. And we can already start to see some of the convective activity beginning to develop towards the west of Toowoomba, and then more convective activity here developing just the west of Kingaroy. That's going to spew out thunderstorms very, very soon, and I reckon in the next hour or so we're going to begin to see a wide train of supercells developing in this part of Queensland. So just to reiterate that, conditions do not get better, and the dire wording that we are using in this coverage, it's not used lightly. I'm not saying any of this lightly or to drive traffic. I'm saying this because it is serious. What we've got right now is a very serious severe thunderstorm outbreak in the making and on the cards. And it looks like we've got a powerful thunderstorm that is going to begin developing in this area here. And it looks like if we extrapolate that, Stanthorpe could be in the firing line as well. Warwick very much in the firing line. Allora, which is up here, also in the firing line. Clifton could also be in the firing line. And then eventually Killarney will be in the firing line. And that will just, I mean, this line of cloud that's beginning to develop here, which will push in towards the Scenic Rim, so Rathdowney, Boona, Bow Desert, that will put them in the firing line as well. It is... yeah, it is a concerning situation. It is a very dangerous severe thunderstorm situation, and today's outbreak will be significant. I'm just checking back in on that Warwick cell. It's performing really, really well. 70 decibels now, or getting close to 70 decibels. We've likely got giant hailstones embedded within this thunderstorm here. We get a bit of an update here. Moving over Mount Gammy, and even this one here that's splitting off just to the south of Warwick, it is moving in a good direction. I mean, if we just play through this, you can see that that thunderstorm so far has tracked like this, or the cell of that thunderstorm has tracked like this. So even at a worst case scenario, if it tracks a little bit more on the same line as this thunderstorm, it should just pass just to the south of Warwick, which leaves Warwick kind of out of the worst of these thunderstorms here. They're still likely to get some strong wind gusts, and it will feel pretty intense in Warwick for a brief period of time, but the worst of these cells here will move around Warwick. But if you're on the fringes, likely to see some significant severe thunderstorm impacts, especially down around the, I believe this would be the racetrack down here, or further south, and then pushing things south here, strong severe thunderstorm potential expected. Even Cottonvale, or between Cottonvale and Warwick, this is where the strongest severe thunderstorms are going to pass through. And it looks like Stanthorpe is also going to be in the firing line for potentially dangerous severe thunderstorms as well. Thank you for that generous donation, Debbie, and thank you for those kind words. And Mintberry Crunch, could do with one of those right now. Darling Down Zoo is just north of Clifton. Clifton. Oh, here it is. So they will be in the firing line because this thunderstorm is heading on this sort of trajectory here, which will put it just towards the north of Allora. So if we're talking about the zoo being in this area here, they could be clipped by the thunderstorm. Likely, though, the strongest part of that hail core, not likely to go over the Darling Downs Zoo. That's quite concerning. But yeah, all animals, pets, stay inside. Make sure you do have your animals and your pets inside as well in this event. This is a very, very dangerous, severe thunderstorm situation. And it's a developing one as well. There's going to be a lot of thunderstorms, so yeah, it's going to be a busy one. There's going to be a lot of information. If you haven't already, of course, please do consider subscribing for further coverage and updates on these thunderstorms. You can see these ones down in New South Wales as well are beginning to ramp up. I believe they're heading in that direction. They're sort of moving in that more easterly, but they are also firing up a little bit further towards the north. So they're heading towards the east, but we're beginning to see thunderstorms firing up along this line here, which would take them up into the Ebor area pretty soon as well. I believe just south of Ebor, we've got 5-Day Creek, yeah, and these locations are likely to see some hailstones as well in the next few moments. The Ipswich one, let's take a look at this. It's now moving into Willowbank. It's not an especially strong thunderstorm. It's definitely not a dangerous one. But if we have a look at its movement here, it's likely to move over Ipswich. Could be some small hailstones into the Ipswich area. Definitely some strong wind gusts expected, that's for sure. But nothing too crazy in the Ipswich area, and it's not going to be the main event tonight. I can practically guarantee that. Thank you so much for the generous words and the donation as well. And thank you so much to everybody that is watching right now as well. Massively, massively appreciated. All of you. Very, very much appreciated. So thank you so much. Yeah, so tornadoes are a possibility this afternoon and this evening. Very rare in Australia. We don't see tornadoes often at all. They are a little bit more common than people do expect and do reckon, but yeah, tornadoes are rare. So when we do see the Bureau of Meteorology, which have raised the possibility of thunderstorms producing tornadoes, both of these storms here now been tagged as very dangerous. Yeah, it's concerning. It is. The bomb has highlighted the risk of tornadoes, and they don't make that call lightly. Both of these thunderstorms labelled as very dangerous. That Ipswich one with large hail as well, so hailstones between that 2 to 4 centimetres. We've got, so this very dangerous tag is for giant hailstones. And if we cross-reference that with the Bureau of Meteorology website here, and go to the Toowoomba radar, I mean, the echoes that we're seeing off this thunderstorm here, that's going to go into the Elora area, very concerning indeed. And we've now got defined rotation couplets on this thunderstorm as well. It doesn't really get much worse than this. Already seeing these thunderstorms, but yeah, very, very powerful indeed. Very, very potent. Helen Fire, thank you so much, and welcome to the stream, the coverage. Always good to see your name in the chat. But yeah, these thunderstorms here. This one, very, very concerning. So moving into the Elora area, likely to clip Clifton as well. Large, possibly giant hailstones in the one that's moving towards the south of Warwick. And Warwick looks like they're going to thread the needle, but there is a chance for giant hailstones in Warwick. So remain vigilant. You're now under a very dangerous, severe thunderstorm in Warwick. Get inside, stay inside, put the car away. You've got just a few more moments until conditions really start to get hairy into the Warwick area. Stay safe throughout the duration of this severe thunderstorm outbreak. Already exhausted. One water bottle here. It's going to be a long day of tracking these thunderstorms, and yeah. So this Ipswich one also likely with some large hailstones, 62 decibels within the centre of this. That's definitely, we're talking 2 centimetres plus. It looks pretty sporadic in nature. I don't think there's going to be anything too crazy in the way of dumping precipitation. It looks like a high base thunderstorm as well. This is looking towards the southwest at this thunderstorm here. That wispy cloud is very ominous indeed. This is a webcam that we're going to have to watch very closely, that's for sure, because that was 54 minutes ago. But this one here looks rather high-based in nature, which means precipitation rates aren't going to be anything too crazy, but we will most certainly see some pretty decent hailstones, 2 to 3 centimetres plus in Ipswich, could even be a little bit larger than that, so stay safe. One thing that I have learned from these thunderstorms so far throughout this multi-day outbreak is the hailstones have consistently been larger than what I've been estimating on stream, so I'm going to be very aggressive today in some of the numbers that I call, because so far I've been very conservative and have been wrong quite a lot of the time. So yeah, we need to up the ante. So these thunderstorms here, yesterday would have been calling 4 or 5 centimetre hailstones, giant hailstones, and considering the setup that we have today, we could be talking about 6, potentially 6.5 or 7 centimetre hailstones. Very large ones likely in the Warwick area, and thank you so much, Josiah Roberts, for sending some memberships through. That's massively appreciated. Beaudesert faring over the next 12 hours. Beaudesert is in the firing line for potentially serious severe thunderstorms. We've obviously got this dry line out here, but we're beginning to see thunderstorms developing on a line through here, or clouds at least developing along a line through here, and the first one of those being the one moving through Ipswich. And we also had one not long ago moving up towards into the Sunshine Coast. So Beaudesert, time to watch will be in the next hour to 3. So we'll be talking about 1 o'clock out to about 3 or 4 o'clock into the Beaudesert area for potentially dangerous severe thunderstorms. So you've got about an hour or so until these thunderstorms do start to become a significant concern in the Beaudesert area. And Jeremy Bros, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Very much appreciated. And we'll just check back in on that Sunshine Coast one. Like we said, not a big concern. This one's moving up into the Mooloolaba area now. They had some giant hailstones there last night and some pretty intense precipitation, but right now likely just a bit of heavy rainfall here. 2:30 appointment in the Brisbane city. You should slip through, but after about 3:30 it's going to be stormy in the Brisbane area, and obviously I can't guarantee that just considering how volatile the atmosphere is. I would say, to be safe than sorry, cancel that appointment. I wouldn't go out with a forecast set up like this at 2:30 into the Brisbane area. So we're talking, in about 2 hours' time. If that was me, I'd cancel that appointment, Just beginning here in Ipswich, what do you think? What do I think is ahead for tonight? So this Ipswich storm here, let us know. Large hailstones are most certainly a possibility. It's labelled as severe, and it's tracking off in this direction here. Tonight will be long. Lots more thunderstorms behind this one. This is a warm-up. So whatever happens tonight, expect it to be, or in the next 30 minutes or so, expect tonight to be many times more significant as these thunderstorms continue to build. Adam, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. North Brisbane already got thunder. That would have been that thunderstorm moving into the Sunshine Coast area. But I wouldn't hang around in the Brisbane city area. I would stay away from Brisbane. Great to listen whilst the house gets sorted. Lovely to hear that you are being prepared for this thunderstorm. I say it time and time again, I would love to be wrong about these thunderstorms. I would love for this to be a complete fizzer and for my forecast to be wrong. But as this dry line pushes more thunderstorm development over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to see stronger and stronger thunderstorms. And as they push into the Brisbane area, especially into the Scenic Rim area, very significant thunderstorm potential is possible. And I would love for everybody to be safe rather than to be sorry in an event like this. This is going to get ugly quickly, so it's much better to be prepared than it is to be caught with your pants down in a situation like this. Thank you, Zephyrin, for that very generous donation as well. Orchestrate. Go to an orchestrate in Brisbane at 8 p.m. You should be, after about 9 or 10 o'clock, these thunderstorms are going to begin to pull away. And even by 8 o'clock, we're likely to see thunderstorms beginning to diminish and pull out of the Brisbane area. And you can actually see that on the forecast modelling here. Keep in mind these timestamps on the bottom of the screen are about 2 hours behind, because, well, they are 2 hours behind because I'm over in Perth. And you can see after about 7 o'clock, these thunderstorms are beginning to pull away from the Brisbane city area and the Gold Coast. And after 8 o'clock, we're seeing conditions really begin to ease off. So in terms of later tonight, after 8 o'clock's still cutting it pretty fine. I would say after 9 o'clock, conditions are going to begin to improve rather dramatically through parts of the Brisbane area. But we do have that squall line risk, and late night supercell thunderstorms, we're talking after 10 o'clock, will again be possible. We've got that resurgence of thunderstorm activity that is likely to occur. The convective forecast models are favouring the Gold Coast and the Scenic Rim especially, and also parts of the Sunshine Coast. So in other words, on a night like tonight, I wouldn't be making plans, but after about 8 o'clock, it looks like conditions are going to become a little bit more isolated in nature. Looking for Logan, massive thunderstorms are expected down there. Tornadoes are possible right through Southeast Queensland. Trying to keep up with the chat. There's so much going on here, so I want to thank everybody for sending messages through, and of course all of those super chats as well and becoming channel sponsors. Massively appreciated. But we've got a long outbreak. This is a look at the convective forecast modelling here, and you can see that second outbreak later tonight after about 8 o'clock is expected to occur, and that will be a squall line moving rapidly towards the east, and that will have embedded supercell thunderstorms within it as well, and that could very much pack a punch as we get later on into tonight. Very similar to the Christmas 2023 outbreak where we saw embedded supercells with tornadoes. That's basically what we're expecting to occur later tonight. This afternoon's going to be long. We're expecting hours upon hours of these thunderstorms to occur throughout this afternoon. Let's check back in on that Warwick cell. We've definitely, oh wow, lots of lightning and a very significant hail core up here. Oh wow. 68 decibels, pushing 70 in a few spots. 70 down. That's giant hailstones for sure. And again, with this cell here, likely to thread the needle somewhere between Elora and Clifton. If I had to put my money on a place being the hardest impacted, it would be Clifton, but anywhere south of the Kings Creek is where these thunderstorms are likely to be at their strongest. Allura also looking at a pretty significant hit as well. Allura, Clifton, get inside now. Hail is imminent. 20 minutes away. Warwick as well. I hope everybody is inside, hunkering down, even though you can see these thunderstorms here kind of splitting off. The southern part of Warwick likely to be clipped by this thunderstorm here, which also has giant hailstones within it, 5 or 6 centimeters in diameter. And also keep in mind that we've got the radar site in Toowoomba. It's trying to see through this thunderstorm here to read the echoes in this thunderstorm. So if this thunderstorm looks substantially weaker, it's likely just as strong, because the thunderstorm's echo readings are being blocked by the hail that's falling in this thunderstorm here. This thunderstorm could be just as strong, if not even stronger, considering the readings that we're getting back from it right now. So south of Warwick, hunker down, giant hailstones are imminent. Tweed Valley to Robina on the Gold Coast to collect your dog from the vet hospital. It's 3 p.m. Queensland time. Again, like I said, I genuinely don't think that that's a wise choice to do. If you can get it done earlier, that would be ideal. But yeah, driving around during a severe thunderstorm warning, which is going to occur after about 3 o'clock through parts of southeastern Queensland, including the Gold Coast, Robina area. After 3 p.m, things are going to get done. If you can get off the road by 3:30, you should be okay. Same deal with Brisbane, getting inside by 3 or 3:30. But yeah, you're cutting it quite fine, so I'd get inside before that time. North Brisbane is going to cop it bad as well. Yeah, 5:30 is peak time for these thunderstorms, so not recommended at all. They will be upscaling at that point in time, but upscaling from what we're seeing right now means incredibly heavy rainfall accumulations, lots and lots of hailstones, destructive winds, the potential for tornadoes, and yeah, just not good stuff. We've also got this cell here developing towards the south of Clifton, and again, this is also a very strong thunderstorm, but it's being blocked out by the Toowoomba radar because of how strong this thunderstorm here is. It's reflecting all of those signals back, and that's why we're getting such intense hail core readings from this thunderstorm here, but it's also making these thunderstorms here unreadable to the radar, which means both of these storms towards the south of the main cell here at Clifton and Allura are likely just as strong and just as dangerous, with just as giant hailstones. So yeah, this is a serious concern, and that's something we're going to run into a lot tonight. These thunderstorms are going to be blocked out by these radar images because of how significant some of those echoes are going to come back. That's a lovely rotation on that Clifton thunderstorm towards the northwest of Warwick. That's a mean rotation and likely a very powerful, potent supercell thunderstorm. They need to update the Grafton radar. The Grafton radar is laughable. We've got some strong thunderstorm activity. Dorrigo is next. We've got this thunderstorm here, and that will then push into the Dorrigo area, I believe, towards the west of Coffs Harbour shortly. And then you can see our friends up on the Warwick, these 3 thunderstorms here, those 3 very powerful thunderstorms. And you can actually see the readings on this thunderstorm here are weaker than the readings on this one, which means both of those storms are likely to be just as strong as each other and dropping giant hailstones. That is why we turn to live coverage like this, so that we can break down all of these thunderstorms in real time and tell you exactly what is going on. It may seem like overkill sometimes, especially because Queensland sees so many thunderstorms, but it's so important to get a complete and a comprehensive picture of everything that's going on. The Ipswich cells are beginning to upscale a little bit now into a bit of a multicellular storm. We're beginning to see development up in the Samford Valley as well that will move in towards Strathpine, and a few thunderstorms also around the Logan area. These ones will get themselves going shortly. Not likely to be anything too crazy in the next 20 minutes, but we will have to keep close tabs on what we're looking at down there. But you can see just over the last 20 minutes, a lot of precipitation has kind of erupted through the southeast Queensland area towards the west of Brisbane. And thank you so much, everybody, for the support on this stream so far as well. It is just massively appreciated. Just a crazy hail core on this system here. 69 decibels, pushing 70. Very significant stuff. This is a potent, severe thunderstorm here, packing a very big punch. One thing that we also are looking at is the Brisbane webcam. So this is our thunderstorm here over towards Ipswich from Brisbane Live. This is the big one here. You can see that anvil sweeping off towards the north. Lots of high cloud coverage in this area. And then that thunderstorm. So Ipswich is down around here. Or it's actually a bit closer over towards here. But this is sort of the Ipswich, Harrisville area. And then... So you've got Ipswich here and Harrisville here. This thunderstorm is moving towards the Brisbane area, so it is going to track into the sort of this direction here. And we'll keep an eye, a very close eye on what this thunderstorm is going to be doing, because it is an interesting one, and it could definitely throw out a little bit more lightning as it continues to move through. It could also throw out some reasonably heavy rainfall as well, so we're going to have to keep close tabs on that thunderstorm. And we're talking about this thunderstorm here, which is, you can see it here, over the Ipswich area, and that webcam located about here, looking at this direction. So it's great that we do get to look at the sky as well as these thunderstorms develop. Thank you so much for all of the kind words as well. Very much appreciated everybody's support and messages. And also the questions that I'm getting as well that I can answer, things that I wouldn't even think about. And again, that's why I run live coverage like this, things that I wouldn't even think about talking because of the stream that I can answer and help people. It is just massively appreciated. I don't know why I just chose to color that in with purple. Probably the only color that we can't see properly. Very, very dangerous thunderstorm, this one. Also likely a very dangerous thunderstorm towards the south of Warwick. But the good thing is Warwick threading the needle between these two thunderstorms. Like I said, that one passing just towards the south of Warwick, and this one here likely to move into the Elora, Clifton area. And we do have that strong cell just towards the south here that's going to move towards Stanthorpe. But just towards the north of Stanthorpe, so we're looking at the summit and somewhere between the summit up towards Warwick. Actually, it looks like this thunderstorm's just taken a bit more of this kind of pathway, which means Stanthorpe will get some moderate rainfall and maybe a strong wind gust or two, but nothing too much into the Stanthorpe area. Yes, I do just love Windy, because Windy is so versatile. It's got so many different tools, and I can look at basically everything. Plus, it's so easy to interpret, and I can explain it very thoroughly, I feel, to everybody. So that's why Windy is used and the preferred tool on the CyclonesOZ channel, and I hope that everybody appreciates that. If we see more of this today, keep in mind that it's still only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. These thunderstorms here are expected to be at their strongest between 3 and 4 o'clock. So when we start to see thunderstorms developing further north towards the west of Toowoomba here, we could be seeing some absolutely wild stuff. We're already beginning to see a couple of thunderstorms get themselves going. We've got some cumulus cloud activity here towards the south of Roma, and Miles over here, Roma over here. And then we're beginning to see some cumulus activity begin to develop towards the west of Toowoomba as well, and that will likely result in thunderstorm development into the Diagla National Park. No, the Diagla National Park's around here, but we'll likely see some thunderstorm development in this region of Queensland very, very soon. And it will be likely just as strong, if not stronger, than the current storm that's moving towards the northwest of Warwick. Even this Ipswich one, still likely throwing out some small hailstones, probably some large hailstones in a few spots as well. If we get any reports of what's going on in Ipswich right now, I'd be very interested to see as well. Adam Kane, thank you so much for the kind words and the generous tip as well. That's humbling to read. I know it isn't much, but anything for Caloundra today. Now, thank you so much for the generous donation as well. But for Caloundra, yeah, later tonight we're looking at big thunderstorm potential up in the Caloundra area. You can see as we get through later this afternoon into this evening, we'll be seeing those strong thunderstorms, but most likely upscaled stuff moving into the Caloundra area. So we have Caloundra right here. But we are going to see these thunderstorms, like I said, developing along this dry line, pushing in. But by the time they get closer to the coastline, they will be upscaled into these squall lines with embedded supercell activity. So Caloundra will get something, and likely something quite strong as well, but it won't be as significant as what we're looking at further down in towards southern Queensland. Christina, thank you for that generous donation. Is Logan going to get stretched or impacted? It's definitely going to get impacted. Not sure about stretched, but we are looking at thunderstorms and potentially severe thunderstorms into the Logan area. And again, same story with Caloundra. The strong storms developing out here, Boona, Harrisville, Beaudesert, Rathdowney, and then upscaling by the time they get there. Still likely supercells with large, potentially giant hailstones into the Logan City area, but they will be just that little bit weaker. The tornado risk does die down into the Logan area. Decibel explanation, of course. And again, thank you for that generous donation. Decibels is the reflectivity reading coming out of these thunderstorms, and the higher the number, the more intense the precipitation. So when we're starting to see numbers into the 60s, we're talking hail. 70s is giant hail. 80s is, we're talking like massive, massive hail coming from the sky, like almost unprecedented hail. 80 decibels is very, very rare to see in Australia. Harvey Bay and Fraser Coast, we are looking at some significant thunderstorm potential, but that's going to be later tonight. And again, upscaled stuff, squall lines with embedded supercells or weaker thunderstorms up there. And that's going to be something that we need to look at later tonight. Insight into Mount Tamborine for today, or Tamborine Mountain rather. So Tamborine Mountain, sometimes we see the thunderstorms kind of split around, with Tamborine Mountain being around this area here, and we see these thunderstorms developing in Beaudesert and moving towards the north, or they develop south of Canungra and moving into the Gold Coast, which Tamborine Mountain kind of protects the Coomera and the Sanctuary Cove area sometimes, or they just end up getting absolutely smashed. But we are likely to see thunderstorms developing here, and I believe the Logan River Valley, which would put them right in the firing line for the Mount Tamborine area. It's hard to say until thunderstorms do begin developing, and that goes for pretty much every location. We can't really say for sure what's going to happen until these thunderstorms begin actually developing. But for the Mount Tamborine area, likely some pretty significant stuff later this afternoon and this evening. No, you wouldn't be crazy to cancel dinner plans at 6:30. Hamilton, is that northern suburbs or southern suburbs? Northern suburbs, you would not be crazy at all. Southern suburbs, again, you just wouldn't be crazy. You'd be being cautious and safe, which is what I recommend in a situation like this. But it could be some thunderstorms likely to be stronger in the northern areas of Brisbane by that time. But yeah, massive potential later today for these thunderstorms. Like, it is pretty insane what we could be seeing later today from these thunderstorms. It really is. Yeah, exactly. More is coming later. This is the warm-up. This is not the main show. These thunderstorms here, they are the warm-up. They're the rehearsal for what is going to come later this afternoon and this evening. This is not what we're going to be ending the day on. So keep that in mind. Manly will get some good storms for sure. Again, depending on where they develop, but we could be seeing some pretty significant hail accumulations out there. Embedded supercell activity as well. That's a very defined hook now. That is an extremely defined rotation couplet. Honestly, Clifton, Alora, there may be a risk of a tornado. So we've got this rotation couplet here. And you can see as I highlight where these winds are going, you can see that intense ball beginning to form. This is quite high up in the clouds, but as this thunderstorm continues to move, and it's going to move right over Clifton, we're going to see some intense wind speeds, or very strong wind speeds, and it could get really nasty in the Clifton area. I definitely reckon that there is a risk that this thunderstorm now, just considering the conditions that we're looking at today, in this yellow outline, so this would include Clifton and then down towards Alora and also up towards Nobby, the risk of a tornado is going to be there in the next 20, 25, 30 minutes or so. This is a really strong thunderstorm, and it really is potent. It's dropping giant hailstones, maybe 6 centimeters in diameter at this point in time. The Warwick one is split apart, and it is now moving towards the south of Warwick, so Warwick unlikely to receive very significant precipitation or hail for now. Key point for now. The strong stuff is headed just towards the south of Warwick. There's still quite a lot of lightning and likely some large hailstones just to the south of Warwick. And even Warwick could be seeing some small hailstones pretty soon. And down towards the summit, towards the north of Stanthorpe as well. And then eventually, by the looks of things, Killarney could be seeing some pretty significant stuff. But yeah, for now, it looks like Warwick is out of the thick of it for at least the next hour or so. But this thunderstorm, this is an extremely dangerous thunderstorm towards the north of Alora. This is not a thunderstorm that we see very often. And it's a long track one as well. It's lasted a long, long time. So I'm going to wait and see what BOM have to say about this. Next update should be due in the next 15 minutes or so. But Allura, get inside. Same deal with Clifton. Get inside. Get into your safe spot. This is a very defined hook echo on this thunderstorm. It may throw out a tornado, and just considering the risks right now for thunderstorms today, we need to treat every powerful supercell thunderstorm like this one as a potential tornado producer. The risk is there, and it's extreme today. It is an extreme example of what thunderstorms can produce through Southeast Queensland. So stay safe, stay informed. This is quite dramatic stuff unfolding. I'm very keen to see how large the hailstones get around Clifton and Allura, because they're going to be giant. In fact, last night we saw hailstones. They were huge, they were. I'm trying to find a fair comparison to what they were, but one of the photos that I saw, I've got this candle. I've got reasonably large hands as well. This is how big the hailstones were outside of Warwick. You could fit one, maybe two of them in your hands, and they came through very, very frequently as well. They were huge. And today is an even better setup. So just imagine what could come through today. And none of what we're saying is extreme. I know, and a lot of the stuff that I've been writing, especially over on the Facebook page, it sounds extremely concerning and extremely like high-end and severe. And even the way that I'm talking right now, I'm constantly thinking, do I have to pull myself back? But it's just the threat that we've got today. It is such an extreme risk of extremely dangerous thunderstorms. It's not something we see every day. It's not something we see every year. It's not even something we see every decade. And we could be seeing some whopper severe thunderstorms as a result. So we have to take it super, super seriously what's coming through. I'm just hanging out for the next update from BOM on this radar imagery. Very defined hook echo on the Marburg radar as well. It's just out of sight of the Brisbane radar. So we've been looking at the Toowoomba radar mainly, which is kind of towards the north of Toowoomba in a pretty bad position outside of Peachy. But yeah, that is a super defined hook echo, and it's a very, very strong thunderstorm. I'll just I'll give a bit of an explanation as to what a hook echo is. So it is pretty self-explanatory, but we're looking at a hook-shaped feature, and you can see that here. We've got that little bit of rotation on here as this thunderstorm moves towards the north. Now, hook echoes are distinctive of supercell thunderstorms. We see hook echoes in the strongest of thunderstorms. They produce giant hailstones. They can produce tornadoes, and that is the main risk of these thunderstorms that we're seeing today. So hook echoes is what we're expecting to see, and to see one as defined as this moving into the Clifton and the Allura area, it has me very, very concerned right now for these areas. It is just so defined and so gnarly. 65 decibels, honestly, I would have thought that some of the readings would be a little bit stronger than that. But very likely some giant hailstones occurring in this thunderstorm. Allura. Thank you so much for that correction. Crazy, crazy stuff. Very, very concerning for Allura and Clifton as well. Just winding this back a little bit. In fact, it looks like this thunderstorm's taken that northerly jog that we were talking about, which means that hail core is going to kind of move in this little corridor here. We will still see some pretty heavy rainfall and potentially that hail core moving over the Allura area as well. But Allura likely to be on that kind of back end. Allura. Yeah, so it will likely clip the back end, and we will still see some hailstones in the Allura area, but up towards Clifton is where the real deal is going to be. Like, this is the potent hail core of this system here with that hook echo, and we have some very, very strong winds moving on the northern flank of this storm system here. So along this kind of, these red lines is where this storm has a significant gust front, and that's where these winds will exceed 100 kilometers an hour as they push towards the Clifton area. But Clifton, you need to be inside now. You've got 5 minutes until this thunderstorm and the hail is on top of you. You need to be inside and in your safe spot right now and fully prepared and ready to go for this severe thunderstorm that is pushing through extremely quickly. It's not every day that we see a thunderstorm like this either, of this magnitude. This is, I would be doing live coverage on this if just one of these thunderstorms was developing, let alone an entire outbreak. I mean, we're expecting a 500-kilometre stretch of Southeast Queensland to have thunderstorms like this at some point later this afternoon. And this thunderstorm here will be very widespread. We could have a dozen of them going through at any one time into these locations. So this would constitute a live stream on its own. That's how strong this thunderstorm is moving into the Clifton area. But we're going to have a whole outbreak of them developing in the next hour or so. And you can actually see these thunderstorms here, Surat and Meandra, towards the southwest of Tara beginning to develop. And thank you so much, Jason, for those kind words. And that is much appreciated. I'm glad that I was helpful. Thank you so much as well, Helen Fire, one of the channel's biggest supporters there. Multicellular storm into the Brisbane area as well. In fact, it looks like large hail is now a possibility through the Samford Valley area, and this would move up in towards Strathpine, which is here, and then eventually on towards Redcliffe. It looks like it's a developing thunderstorm. You can see we do have a little bit of high precipitation rates in this area, and as that moves on, we could be seeing some small to large hailstones developing into the Strathpine, Redcliffe, and I believe it is the Bramble Bay. I was about to call it the Banger Bay. But yeah, strong thunderstorm in the making here, but they're going to get a lot stronger as we push things forward later tonight. Likely to miss Brisbane for the most part, but we will still see some heavy precipitation and maybe even some hail in the Brisbane area. Brent Taylor, what can you expect in Gympie? I don't want to say Armageddon because that is a very strong word, but likely because Gympie is just that little bit further north, we've got that dry line all the way out here. So thunderstorms are going to develop along this dry line here that I've just drawn. And then they're going to have like an hour or two to move into the Gympie area. By the time they get themselves close to Gympie, if they haven't upscaled, they'll be well and truly on the way. And I'll be talking about heavy precipitation, damaging to locally destructive winds, the potential for embedded supercell activity, but likely nothing earth-shattering or crazy for the Gympie area. What's the potential that this one could throw out a tornado? Yeah, we don't see them much in Australia. I presume you're talking about the Clifton one. The potential is there. I mean, the hook echo that we're seeing the hook echo that has just updated on the radar as it moves into the Clifton area. That's one of the most defined hook echoes that I've seen on Australian radar imagery. It's not quite on the 64K loop. Oh yeah, I mean, that's just... It really doesn't get much better than that, to be honest. The hook echo that's going through Clifton right now, and considering that Clifton is going to be in that kind of... I guess you could call it the eye of the storm. That little kind of dry slot that's located right here. You can see that echo, or the hook, and as this thing pushes right over the Clifton area, yeah, something very significant. This could be throwing down a tornado right now. This very well could be throwing a tornado down. And if it is, it's likely to be right here. I mean, you can see that little hole where that lightning is not occurring. If it is throwing down a tornado, it could be right there, and that would be putting it on a collision course for Clifton. Look, this is a thunderstorm that we don't see very often. This is a variety of thunderstorm that we see extremely rarely. Now, we can't be calling tornadoes, obviously, on stream because I don't have any visual confirmation, of course. I'm checking over on my phone towards the right of me. I'm checking constantly Facebook to see if we've got some updates in regards to a tornado, but I'm not going to call tornadoes until I see visual proof, a photo of a tornado on the ground. But the chance that there is a tornado in this one here is much higher than what we do normally see in a thunderstorm. We could be talking about a 5% chance here that this thunderstorm is throwing down a tornado right now, and again putting it on a beeline for the Clifton area. That's extremely concerning, and these precipitation rates are just through the roof. 70 decibels, giant hailstones occurring right now. Clifton, you need to be in your safe spot. I cannot stress that enough. If you're joining us and you're around Clifton, that includes Elora, Nobby as well, Clifton, anywhere along the Kings Creek or the upper parts of the Kings Creek. Mount Gammy, you've just received this thunderstorm. It's passing over. Even by extension, Greenmount, get inside and get away from this very dangerous, severe thunderstorm that is developing and continuing to develop around the Clifton area. No update yet from Bomb, but I'm watching it like a hawk. I want to see this thunderstorm. I want to see the update that we're going to see from this thunderstorm here. No webcams in the vicinity, unfortunately. About what we expect. It's a reasonably remote part of agricultural Queensland. Coffs Harbour Cell has a hook. Yep, it looks like it does. This one here is also a supercell thunderstorm moving outside of Coffs Harbour. Quite a strong one as well, but nowhere near as strong as that Clifton one, and all eyes have to be kept on this Clifton cell. Lots of thunderstorm activity now, just beginning to push ahead of this severe thunderstorm, and it shows you just how quick a lot of these thunderstorms are going to develop today. If I had to guess, we may be seeing a line of thunderstorms beginning to develop around the Ipswich area, a bit of like a precursor to what we're looking at later tonight. It could be supercell thunderstorms are less than an hour away from developing in the Rathdowney, Boonut Desert sort of area. So something to keep an eye on very shortly, because we are beginning to see these thunderstorms developing in along a line. It's just going to get very messy, convectively speaking, down here. And I mean, have a look at these thunderstorms. They're now going very severe, or very much crazy out in this part of Queensland as well. As that dry line pushes through, we're now beginning to see convection build a little bit further north, up around Gympie and Kingaroy, and then that second line of thunderstorms out here, and even a bit of an intense, or more intense cumulus band beginning to develop in those areas. Spring Mountain, thank you for the generous donation as well, but whereabouts in is Spring Mountain, generally speaking? New bomb update, this thunderstorm very dangerous. 9 centimetre hailstones. Wow. That is incredible. Sorry if that's just blown out anyone's speakers. I've never seen 9 centimetre hailstones tracking a thunderstorm in Australia. That hasn't happened before. That's mind-boggling. 9 centimetre hailstones is absolutely gargantuan. 9 centimetres that's unbelievable. Yeah, we're talking about, again, like, that's huge. We're talking 9 centimetres. What's 9 centimetres? Like a can of beer, something like that. And this would be we're talking about Greenbank here. That is extreme stuff. Oh, Pratton. So this would obviously be in the wake of this severe thunderstorm. Pratton would be down here, I would imagine. Yeah, 9 centimetre hailstones. Far out. That is just absolutely incredible. That, yeah, gorilla hail. I know that's not an official meteorology term, and it's a term that kind of makes my toes curl, but that is just absolutely incredible stuff. 9 centimetre hailstones, they destroy everything they do. They punch holes in brick roofs, they punch holes in buildings, they absolutely smash cars. Look, Clifton, this is an extremely dangerous situation. If you've got 9 centimetre hailstones, and considering that this thunderstorm is continuing to develop as well, they could be getting closer to the 9 plus 10, 71 decibels. Yeah, that's an even stronger decibel reading than what we had earlier. You could be expecting reasonably 10 centimetre hailstones into the Clifton area right now. 10 centimetres is huge. Absolutely monstrous hail is moving into the Clifton area. That is unbelievable. I've got to make a little write-up on that. That's just monstrous. 9 centimetre hailstones is just huge. I mean, looking at it, like it's just getting stronger and stronger. So I'm very, very keen to see what we actually end up seeing in the Clifton area. But we could be seeing something very much similar, if not worse, because this thunderstorm is continuing to develop. Into the area within Ipswich. It's going to get pretty hairy tonight. Lots of thunderstorm activity, but we just got to wait to see what's going on. Yeah, 10 centimetres is mind-boggling. I'm at a loss for words, to be honest. Clifton, this is going to be an extremely dangerous situation. It could be one of the worst storms in this part of Queensland on record. And yeah, very likely an extremely destructive thunderstorm. Extreme destruction, devastation would come from 9 centimetre hailstones. We would be talking about absolute, complete, total annihilation of any life outside in 9 centimetre plus hailstones. This is just such a dangerous thunderstorm. Tornadoes yet, none confirmed, none that I've seen at least. Very quiet in the Ipswich area. You just had that rumble move through, but it is going to remain quiet for the next hour or so. Yeah, I need to buy a ruler, that's for sure. Thank you for the tip to fund that ruler. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I've been using the trusty AirPods box as a comparison, but this is 7 centimeters. That's not 9 centimeters or 10 centimeters. And when we're talking about hailstones of that magnitude, 10 centimeters plus, it's many orders of magnitude more dangerous than 7 centimeter hailstones. This is an extremely dangerous, life-threatening situation in Clifton, likely the strongest thunderstorm on record in the Clifton area, packing a punch, well, it's packing multiple punches, and it is going to deliver a complete blow to the Clifton town centre. 10 centimetre hailstones, yeah, it is cannonballs falling from the sky. If 10 centimetre hailstones occur in Clifton, we'd be talking about a complete annihilation of the town. Obviously, 10 centimetre hailstones don't fall like raindrops, they're pretty sporadic in nature, but for these thunderstorms to sustain hailstones of that size, you have to have so much instability and so much lift in the environment for that to occur. Yeah, it doesn't, that just doesn't happen often. It, absolutely crazy stuff. Yeah, so 9 centimeter hailstones, you need to seek shelter in the Clifton area. I'm just looking at some of these photos now that are coming through. Unfortunately, I can't show them on the stream for copyright reasons, but they are extremely dangerous. They just completely annihilate things. They completely wipe out property, items, belongings. Like 10 centimeter hailstones will punch holes through windshields, car roofs even. It will just completely destroy anything in its path. They're just waiting for the next radar update here to take this over the Clifton area and seeing what's going on. Fingers crossed the worst of this storm slides towards the south. Oh, it hasn't. It's gone right over the town centre. 71 decibels in the Clifton town centre. 68 to 70 decibels in the Clifton town centre. I mean, it just couldn't get any worse. As that thunderstorm moves off, very significant stuff is expected to occur. Very significant devastation will occur. Yeah, Is this heading for Ipswich? I mean, it's on the direction for Ipswich, but it's not going to make it out there, not with 10 centimetre hailstones, I can practically guarantee that. It parted around you at Warwick. No, that's not the full extent. This is the warm-up. I can't stress this enough. This is the warm-up. This is the pre-game entertainment, these thunderstorms. So we're seeing 10 centimetre hailstones before the main show arrives. Or nearly 10 centimetre hailstones before the main show arrives. I just cannot believe that 10 centimetres is possible into the Clifton area. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And a very strong rotation couplet to go with it as well. But yeah, Clifton is being annihilated right now. It is being absolutely annihilated by this severe thunderstorm. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about complete, total devastation, like if a massive tornado ripped through, but it's going to be somewhat close to that. I would be surprised if we didn't see devastation through Clifton. I'd be surprised if every building didn't sustain damage in the Clifton area from these hailstones. These are, and a perfect comparison in the chat, these are cannonballs coming from the sky, they are. Oh, 9 to 10 centimetres would destroy a house roof. It wouldn't just damage it, it would destroy it, it'd punch holes through it, and they would end up in your living room. Even if you've got a double-storey house, it would punch a hole through the top story. This is awful stuff that's occurring right now. And again, like I said, pre-show entertainment. Compared to what's going to be coming through later today, this is gut-wrenching stuff. We knew something big would happen today, but 9 centimetre hailstones was not on the bingo card. Honestly, like, weak tornadoes is better than 9 centimetre hailstones. Yeah, 16 centimetres was the record in the Central Queensland area, Yalbaroo. You can get some 11 centimetres. Oh, you're joking. 11 centimetre hailstones, again, is just... I refuse to believe 11 centimetre hailstones. But yeah, we've got reports of 9 centimetre hailstones, which would make it a no-brainer that hailstones around that 10 centimetre size have occurred from this massive severe thunderstorm that's blowing through. We can only hope that it passes over Clifton and doesn't leave too much in the way of devastation, but it is moving very slowly, and it is an agonising few minutes for the Clifton area as they get pummeled by one of the most severe thunderstorms in this part of Southeast Queensland. Yeah, and the 2014 Gap storm, I believe, was 7 centimetre hailstones. Yeah, I'll get some aerodrome weather cams up later this afternoon into this afternoon's stream, because it's very important we look at these storms. So 7 centimetre hailstones in the Gap storm of 2014, or the massive thunderstorm in 2014 destroyed roofs. These hailstones are twice as big in terms of weight and how ferocious they are. Looks like the storm is just kind of breathing in and out a little bit. The readings aren't as strong. We can only hope for Clifton that these hailstones fell around the Pratton area. Clifton is obviously substantially bigger than Pratton, because if we saw 11 centimetre not 11 centimetre, 9 centimetre hailstones in the Clifton area, that would just be crazy. I just cannot get that. So 9 centimetre hailstones at Pratton just 10 minutes ago, or 15 minutes ago. Just awful stuff. Absolutely awful stuff that's coming through. High 75 plus decibels. I mean, yeah, that's just... Oh, the Gap was 2008. They upscale in the late afternoon, they do, so we're not looking at these thunderstorms being this strong into the late afternoon, but they will still be very significant in strength, yeah. That is dreadful. That is absolutely dreadful in the Clifton area. So it's obviously not like an Australian record, but it could very well be near record-breaking in the Clifton vicinity. That's an extremely powerful thunderstorm. It's an extremely dangerous thunderstorm moving through, and they're being absolutely smashed right now. So I'm very glad that we got the warning out half an hour ago saying to Clifton, get into your safe spot. That was so important. Early warnings, which we can only do whilst providing live coverage, is extremely important. But there's nothing that live coverage can do to prevent the all-out damage and devastation that some of these thunderstorms can produce. And I mean, we're losing track of these thunderstorms that are developing out here. I mean, already, in just the last 15 minutes, we've seen these massive thunderstorms developing and beginning to upscale pretty quickly out in this part of Central Queensland, south of Roma. So these are equally concerning. And we're going to see much more of these. And as these push further towards the east, we're going to see more of these extremely powerful supercell storms begin to develop as well. So it's not a pretty picture, put it that way. I cannot believe it. That's why I'm constantly coming back to this warning here. 9 centimetre hailstones. It beggars belief. It does. It's just crazy. And this is in the Brisbane area right now. You can see that cloud moving over. There's not too much in the way of significant rainfall. You can see a few light showers coming down into the Brisbane area, but it's obviously, I mean, that cell over in Ipswich is providing some hail in a few spots, but yeah, it's not as crazy as what's seeing out there. I'm honestly not sure about the numbers right now. I know there's a lot of people watching, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you, but I'm in such shock with this Clifton situation that it's difficult for me to process anything else, if that makes sense. But no, I do appreciate, I'm grateful for everybody's support as well. Have a look at the link in the chat. All the links in the chat just get filtered out because just for copyright purposes. But I can't, unfortunately, look at any other videos because just for copyright purposes. But I've looked on my phone already, and that it's right. Like 9 centimetre hail doesn't crack windshields; it just comes straight through and it ends up in your lap. It's a 9 centimetre hailstone will leave your car looking like you've been in a bad accident or a rollover. It's just that bad. This thunderstorm has been hanging around the Clifton area for the past 15 minutes and it's got no intention of moving. It looks like it might be breathing in and out right now, pulsing up and down. It's not as strong as what it was previously, but still a very large hail core within it, and it's dropping some giant hailstones, especially in the southern half of Clifton, and then again just towards the northeast as well. Yeah, radar scope looks insane. I've got that on my phone as well, and I'm looking at it live, and it is just mental what we're seeing right now through Southeast Queensland. There we go. It's moved towards the north. Nobby, get into your safe spot now. If you are in Nobby, especially just towards the south of Nobby and through all of this agricultural land here along the Kings Creek and right through Kings Creek, get into an interior room of your house now. This extremely dangerous, life-threatening thunderstorm is moving into your area. You need to cover your head, even if you're inside. If you've got access to a helmet, put it on. If you can put a mattress over your head, get under a bed, get under the dining table. You need to protect yourself and your life. This thunderstorm here, anything over 8 centimetre hailstones is classed as life-threatening. We've had confirmed reports of 9 centimetre hailstones outside of Clifton and Pratton, and very likely worse conditions in the Clifton area as well. You need to stay inside throughout the duration of this. This includes all of Nobby, Greenmount and East Greenmount. I recommend doing the same thing, getting into an interior part of your house and monitoring this scene very closely. All along the Kings Creek, get inside, and this would also extend locations up the Route 80 here, not 100% sure of the name, right up towards Mount Whitestone. Consider moving inside now and getting into an interior part of your house. This is an extremely dangerous situation. This is life-threatening. For those of you caught outside in this, seek shelter now. Get inside. Get into any interior room that you can. Interior bathroom, under a dining table, under a bed. Put a helmet on. Protect yourself. You need to protect yourself to save your life in a situation like this. A 9 centimetre hailstone hits you at velocity, which these hailstones will. It's unfortunately, it's lights out. I don't want to be grim here, but it's just lights out in an event like this. So extremely serious stuff. Act now to protect your life. Thank you for the kind words there, Freedom. Of course, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to get access to the live coverage later this evening, because we're going to see more of this later tonight. It's just wild stuff. 125, 4 to 6 centimetre hailstones. No, it's bigger than 4 to 6 centimetres. We're talking up towards 9 centimetres, 10 centimetres in a few spots here. These are hailstones the size of beer cans. These are hailstones the size of candles that are coming out of the sky, the size of small speakers that are coming out of the sky, and they're coming out of the sky at speed as well. They are extremely dangerous, and to anybody caught outside in these thunderstorms, it is life-threatening. It is a life or death situation outside. It is that dangerous in a situation like this. It looks like the situation is beginning to calm down a little bit in the Clifton area, which means we're going to get a scope of the damage and potential devastation through Clifton very soon. Such a defined hook echo. One of the most defined and impressive hook echoes that I've seen tracking these thunderstorms. So let's zoom in and just give this a little bit of an annotation. Clifton is where that red dot is right now. You can see these winds rotating around this thunderstorm as it moves further off in towards the northeast. There could very well be a tornado in this one, and anything is possible when we've got a storm that's dropping hailstones of this magnitude. If you are chasing in the Clifton area, get out of there. Get out of the path of this storm. Follow in its path if you have to chase it, and help out in a situation like this. Storm chasers become first responders on days like today. There is likely some massive devastation in Clifton, and just looking at this radar imagery right now, it is a dire picture. Complete losses of stock as well that would be caught in a thunderstorm like this. I'm not quite seeing it on the short range radar yet, but we would be talking about complete stock losses in an event like this coming through. So livestock out caught in this thunderstorm, just complete losses. Prediction for Jimboomba. We're going to get through all of the predictions once this thunderstorm threat begins to ease off. This is the most serious thunderstorm that we have tracked here on CyclonesOZ. This is the most serious severe weather event in Southeast Queensland in at least a decade. This is likely producing the largest hailstone seen in Australia since 2021. There's just no other word apart from life-threatening. This sort of stuff causes absolute complete devastation, and there's just sometimes no recovery. Photos online show the massive ground scraping wall cloud. Yeah, that's another thing. The cloud base of these thunderstorms is just so low down. If we get a sounding in the area, you can see these cloud bases are well below 1,000 meters, and they drop down to about 700 meters. And keep in mind that these areas above sea level are about 500 meters. So we've got clouds that are about 100 meters up into the air, 200 meters at the absolute highest. So these thunderstorms here, they look gnarly. They look as gnarly as they are. In terms of Ipswich impacts, that's about as close as, or the closest part of the Brisbane area to these thunderstorms. It's not going to be impacted by this thunderstorm directly, but we're now looking at if this thunderstorm crosses these mountain ranges here. Gatton is in the firing line, Lowood is in the firing line, eventually Esk and the Wivenhoe outlook will be in the firing line for these thunderstorms. It's tracking off in this trajectory here, and all of these places just towards the immediate east of Toowoomba. Helidon, Tent Hill, Laidley, very much in the line of fire now from this very dangerous, absolute monster of a severe thunderstorm. And just following its trajectory over the last kind of half an hour or so, passing right over Clifton, it throws Gatton and Helidon in the firing line for this extremely dangerous, severe thunderstorm. 1 to 2 centimetre hailstones at Tenterfield, I believe it. This is crazy stuff. 77 decibels in the Clifton storm, so it's still getting stronger. It's still putting on size. It's still getting more significant and stronger as we continue to track this severe thunderstorm here. And this is no joke, guys. Mount Whitestone, Marmar Creek, Tent Hill, Gatton, Grantham, Helidon, Forest Hill, Laidley, Flagstone Creek, you are all in the path of an absolute monster. And thank you so much to everybody that's sending through messages of support, and also the generous donations that are coming through right now. Check the Doppler. We've been looking at the Doppler quite closely. If we've got another update on this, oh man. Oh, far out. It gets worse. Honestly, like, this is just now beginning to get worse and worse. The rotation that's coming out of this thunderstorm here, it's incredible. This could very well have a tornado within it. And just considering how strong this thunderstorm has been and what it has dropped, it very well could be. But yeah, Nobby definitely in the thick of things right now. And yeah, just moving towards the east of Nobby now. Greenmont, East Greenmont, get inside your safe spot right now. It'll likely be a lot weaker by the time it gets to the Sunshine Coast, if it ever does. 9 centimetre hailstones is always going to be worse for certain locations than tropical cyclones. So yeah, it's worse than Alfred. This is just crazy. Yeah, this would be... Again, I refuse to call a tornado until I actually see visual confirmation that we've got a tornado coming through. And I don't actually have any of that right now, but we are seeing some incredible scenes, and looking at that hook echo coming through on the 64K radar, I mean, just looking at it on those latest frames, if we can pause it on frame 7 here, having a look at this here. If a storm is going to produce a tornado by Australian standards, I mean, that's the storm there. That's the storm that will produce a tornado. That's the hook echo, then the look of a storm that will produce a tornado. Greenmont, you need to be in your safe spot right now. You need to be in an interior room of your house. East Greenmont especially, you need to be inside. Nobby, you need to remain inside. Clifton, you need to remain inside. All through the Kings Creek Valley, you need to remain inside. All up the Route 80, remain inside. Mount Whitestone, consider moving to your safe spot right now. Gatton, you need to watch this situation very closely. This thunderstorm's showing no signs of weakening, and it is on a beeline for you guys. There are more densely populated areas than this thunderstorm has impacted so far in the firing line of this very dangerous supercell that's moving through. And we could be talking about some extremely dangerous impacts very soon for a number of locations. It simply does not get much worse than this for these areas. So We're very, very concerned right now for the Gatton area. I'm very, very concerned for Mount Whitestone at the very least. They're going to see giant hailstones. I can practically guarantee now that Mount Whitestone will see giant hailstones. And anywhere towards the south of Mount Whitestone, especially towards the southwest, giant hailstones are imminent. And we're talking about these hailstones approaching 7, 8, even 9 centimetres in diameter. Like I said, it just does not get any worse than this. Just doing another Facebook check to see if we have... This thunderstorm is so dangerous and so powerful. It just does not get more impressive and stronger than this by Australian storm standards. It just does not get any worse than this by Australian storm standards. And just monitoring this thunderstorm as of late, it could not be any worse for some of these locations. Just seeing if I can get a bit of an update in terms of what we're looking at tornado-wise, or tornado chances for this severe thunderstorm. But yeah, right now it is just looking so dangerous and so potent that I would not be surprised if we were seeing confirmed reports of a tornado. So that's what we're looking for. So far not seeing anything, but this thunderstorm is just so incredibly dangerous. So in terms of what we're expecting for the Gatton area, if this thunderstorm makes it up there, it will be extremely dangerous, life-threatening in terms of how much hail would come through. It already looks like, I mean, we've just had that northerly jog, like the track of the storm's cell took it right over Clifton. And it looks like the centre of this storm cell has just made that northerly jog, which would put it pretty much on a beeline if it continues its current trajectory into the Gatton area. But I would also like to say that anywhere within this kind of red outline that I'm drawing right now is very likely to see, or likely now to see, giant hailstones. This throws Marburg into the thick of things. This definitely puts Gatton into the thick of things. Helidon as well, Tent Hill, Laidley, Rosewood, Thornton, and then Ipswich over here. Still a little bit too early to call. Going dark now in the Ipswich area. We're going to have to keep a close eye on Ipswich. We've also got all of these thunderstorms now developing and pushing through into this area here, and there's a lot more lightning now beginning to push into the Ipswich area too. So we're expecting thunderstorms to really begin to develop very shortly, along with this absolute whopper of the Clifton storm, which is kind of pushing this entire crowd of storms forward. But yeah, into the Ipswich area, it's definitely time to consider hunkering down as well. Severe thunderstorms are an imminent threat there. Yeah, very, very concerned about Ipswich with these thunderstorms as well. They're not likely to cop anything as strong as what we're seeing a little bit further out here in Clifton, but I mean, by extension, Gatton could be very well in the firing line for this thunderstorm. A serious, serious situation. I'm seeing if we've got any update now on the situation over with this thunderstorm. I mean, it looks like it is a little bit messier, but these thunderstorms, they breathe in and out, they do, so they get, they kind of pulse. So sometimes we see them looking more severe and more dangerous. Other times we see them looking a little bit less severe and a little bit less potent. So we're going to have to keep very close tabs on this severe thunderstorm here and see what it does. But I mean, Gatton, very, very close now in the vicinity of this thunderstorm. Conditions definitely starting to get quite hairy into the Gatton area. And just tracking what we're seeing right now developing in the way of severe thunderstorm activity, there's a big line of powerful storms that's getting itself going, or eventually powerful thunderstorms that is getting itself going. Ipswich, you will be in the firing line. Brisbane, already beginning to see some thunderstorms developing up here into the top right-hand side of your screen. But this line of thunderstorms here could be strong with embedded supercell activity, a very high possibility. very much overshadowed by the Clifton supercell. This is going to go down into the history books, yeah. Clifton, I am happy to say that we can issue the all clear. However, extremely dangerous thunderstorms will cause extremely dangerous and equivalent devastation. Yeah, Clifton, if you do venture outside, and I do not advise, stay at least 10 meters away from fallen power lines. Chopped up power lines mean it's going to be crazy. Watch out, do not drive in a situation like this. Emergency services will be on their way, and storm chasers in the local area will most certainly be of assistance in a threat like this, or in a situation like this. So help is on the way. Relief is on the way. But for Clifton, all clear at least for right now for these thunderstorms. Now likely can be given. Concern for these chinchilla thunderstorms, yeah, big concern. I mean, we're already starting to see developing supercells here just towards the east of Roma, and even a strong thunderstorm here outside of Surat towards the west of Tara, and even some strong storms beginning to get themselves going towards the northwest of Gundawindi as well. All of these are heading out into an extremely favourable environment, an extremely unstable environment, and similar storms, frankly, to what we're seeing now in the Clifton area will occur. They're not likely to occur, they simply will occur. And here comes round two. Just south of Stanthorpe around Wollongara, powerful thunderstorms developing. Tenterfield, 3 centimetre hailstones already reported there. These thunderstorms will go on to be similar to the Clifton storm. So just to reiterate what we're looking at along the Route 80 outside of Clifton, hunker down immediately. Mount Whitestone, hunker down immediately. Interior room of your house, Greenmont East, hunker down immediately. Nobby, almost out of the clear, or out into the clear from these thunderstorms. Even Toowoomba by extension, I would strongly advise staying inside. If this thunderstorm makes a jog north, we will be looking at this thunderstorm being taken straight over the Toowoomba area. So I strongly advise for Toowoomba, stay inside as this thunderstorm approaches. And we're already beginning to see a lot of lightning begin to develop in this area here, which is a sign that this thunderstorm may be on a more northerly jog. So we're going to have to keep close tabs on this. This is an extremely dangerous situation. This is not a thunderstorm that I've ever tracked before, and you can see just the amount of hail and lightning that's coming out of this system. It is super dangerous and super strong, and posing an extreme risk to lives, property, and people's well-being in the path of this true titan of a severe thunderstorm. Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. It's, frankly, for lack of a better term, as a tracker right now, it's gut-wrenching stuff. It just does not get any worse than this. It does not get any more dangerous than this for a lot of locations, and it's not something that I would wish to see at any point for anyone. It's just that bad in these locations. Sky's green in Rosewood. Yeah, green. And I bet that is a neon green shade, or a very bright green shade like the water bottle that I'm drinking out of. Green sky means giant hailstones. And Rosewood down in this area here. Or Rosewood's actually here. So Rosewood, would that be looking towards the west? Because if that's looking towards the west, I'm honestly quite relieved, because that means that we're looking at this thunderstorm. If we're looking at green skies towards the south of Rosewood, it means that these thunderstorms here, Boonah, Harrisville, they are developing large, potentially giant hail cores as we speak. Embedded supercell activity in those thunderstorms as well is very likely to occur. Yeah. Requested to use the standard emergency warning signal. This is a life-threatening situation. So we do not see that very often from the Bureau of Meteorology. This is an emergency. This is not a life-threatening situation. This is a weather emergency that is developing. And again, we do not use that terminology loosely. Weather emergencies do not happen often. Eerily still in Gatton, yeah, you've got that monster thunderstorm that's approaching, calm before the storm in those areas. It is just, yeah, terrible. It is frankly just terrible. Hey Nathan, like skies over Toowoomba right now. Heard the Clifton cell has dropped 10 centimetre hailstones. It sure has. In terms of the Toowoomba risk, it's elevated right now because this thunderstorm is, like we were just talking about, not quite making that northerly jog, but you can see where that lightning is headed. This thunderstorm is moving either towards Helidon or Gatton, which places this hail core on the very eastern fringes of Toowoomba, right out to about Marburg and Laidley, which, again, like if you are in Toowoomba, you need to hunker down, you need to stay in your safe spot, you need to stay out of the way of this true titan of a severe thunderstorm. Hailstones are likely a little bit smaller in this thunderstorm right now. However, they are still extremely dangerous. This is an emergency situation. This is an extremely dangerous situation. And this thunderstorm, 5 centimetre hailstones in Clifton. I hope that's as big as they get. If we've seen 5 centimetre hailstones in Clifton, we're likely not talking about all-out destruction, and it will be recoverable. But having a look at the hail core that passed over Clifton, I've struggled to believe that 5 centimetres was the largest hailstones that we saw in Clifton. If it was, though, we're very, very thankful to be hearing that, very, very thankful to be reporting on that, because 5 centimetre hailstones are an order of magnitude better than 9 or 10 centimetre hailstones. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's all that we've seen in the Clifton area. But the situation is still dire and more thunderstorms will occur. Mount Whitestone, hunker down, Marmar Creek, hunker down, Helidon, Gatton, stay inside and consider hunkering down or consider moving to your safe spot right now. 9 centimetres confirmed, yes. So that was outside of Clifton at Pratton, which is just down here. But we've had 5 centimetres confirmed now into the Clifton area. So the biggest hailstones were here in the Pratton area. And then for Clifton, we had 5 centimetre hailstones. And honestly, just looking at that, if that decrease has continued, we're probably looking at 4 centimetre hailstones now moving up into this part of Queensland. So fingers crossed, that's what we're looking at. Because that's a lot better than 9 centimetre hailstones. 9 centimetre hailstones, again, cannonballs coming from the sky. Mount Whitestone has a webcam. They sure do, but it's looking at a road, which is not of much use to me, unfortunately. So this is Toowoomba, and this is looking towards the southeast at Toowoomba Airport. That is an extremely dark picture. That's grisly, that is, honestly. Like, this is looking at the... we've got Clifton likely right here and Pratton likely right here in these thunderstorms. This was half an hour ago, remember, but that is an extremely dark picture as this thunderstorm races along. Looking at it, it looks like it will bypass the Toowoomba area, but still, like, too close for comfort, man. Way too close for comfort. Toowoomba, though, I strongly recommend you treat this as an imminent severe thunderstorm threat and you remain in your safe spot throughout the duration of this severe thunderstorm warning. And just looking at the cloud tops, the core that this thunderstorm developed, minus 72 degrees, that is an extremely tall thundercloud as this thunderstorm moves through. And yeah, that's very much representative of giant hailstones. They've developed throughout the entire environment. Yeah, extremely dangerous, life-threatening situation. Supercell thunderstorm hail going to impact Caboolture. Eventually, later today, it looks like it is going to, yeah. Yeah, we're not even at the crux of tonight. We're not at the crescendo just yet, and it is this nasty, it is this extreme and this significant. It's going to get worse. Later tonight, it is going to get worse, and we will be seeing some stronger thunderstorm activity as we push things through later tonight. So, yeah, just extreme stuff. And for the live coverage, which is going to happen later tonight, I'm going to have a 1 hour break between these thunderstorms just to catch my thoughts and everything, make a few updates, informing people what to expect, which will start at about 3 o'clock or so, just hopefully between the severe thunderstorms. To get the first notification for tonight's stream, please do consider subscribing, as we'll be live for a long time, as these thunderstorms are going to be extremely dangerous throughout the course of tonight. These thunderstorms now really getting themselves going. Lots and lots of lightning activity. Very powerful thunderstorms towards the south of Stanthorpe as well. And it's only going to get worse for these locations big thunderstorms moving through these areas here, a powerful line of thunderstorms here, and of course that Clifton storm, including a few strong storms now up around Caboolture, dropping lightning and some heavy rainfall, and some powerful storms now to the north of New South Wales too. So it is just going to get worse and more extreme as we push things through the remainder of today. Again, we've had no confirmed reports of a tornado. So 5 centimetre hailstones at Clifton, that's a confirmed report. Now, that's a lot, that is just so much better than, yeah, it's so much better than 9 centimetre hailstones, but this is still a life-threatening, extremely dangerous situation. So listen closely. For locations towards the east of Toowoomba, Helidon, Gatton, Tent Hill, those areas, Mount Whitestone, Flagstone Creek, Tabletop Mountain even, this is an extremely dangerous situation. You have an imminent, massive, monster severe thunderstorm headed your way. You need to hunker down now. You need to prepare now for the absolute worst, and you need to make sure that you are inside protecting yourself from this massive thunderstorm that's moving through this area. This is so dangerous. This thunderstorm is just so incredibly powerful and packing so much of a punch. It has the power to cause extreme total devastation in multiple areas. So it is one to be taken extremely seriously at this point in time. Make sure you are inside in your safe spot in the next 5 minutes or so in Gatton, and same with Helidon. These thunderstorms are about 15 minutes away from either location. And you can actually already see we've got intense lightning activity now over the Mount Whitestone area. This is likely pushing through a very significant gust front. So we've likely got winds pushing through in these areas here, approaching 125 kilometers an hour. And then the hail is falling well behind this severe monster thunderstorm, for lack of a better word. And again, like giant hailstones, 4, 5, 6 centimeters in diameter. It does seem to be weakening just a little bit. But I mean, weakening from what? One of the strongest thunderstorms of all time in Southeast Queensland. It's still an absolute monster, it is. So just because it's weakening doesn't mean it's weaker, and doesn't mean that it is any less potent. Gatton, Helidon, stay inside, stay away from this severe thunderstorm. This is an extremely dangerous situation. This is an emergency situation developing for these areas. Hail is going to be a major threat throughout the course of today. Lots and lots of it is going to fall. And yeah, it does look like it is weakening off a little bit. We've still got a very defined hook echo in this thunderstorm here, but the rotation is just not as strong, and the vorticities are just not as strong. In terms of that tornado question, again, I'm just not going to call a tornado until I actually get a confirmed report that we're seeing tornado activity. It's very much possible today. The chances are there for a tornado, but it's not guaranteed, of course. Nothing in the way of severe thunderstorms is an absolute certainty or guaranteed. It could very well happen, but we need to remain vigilant. We need to remain on top of this situation. But yeah, in terms of if a tornado has developed just yet, we cannot say for sure, because I have not got confirmation for it, and I haven't seen any official confirmation online either. So again, we need to remain vigilant and watch the situation closely, but tornadoes have so far not developed, and I'm not guaranteeing them until they do actually develop. Cheryl Legg, is there any idea for the Gympie region today? I mean, Gympie is in the zone for seriously severe thunderstorms, and they're likely to see something similar in magnitude to what we've seen down in the Clifton area. So out around the Gympie area, still likely a little bit weaker by the time they get up towards Gympie, but we will be talking about significantly powerful severe thunderstorms, and definitely something we need to be watching out for very, very closely. Far out, the Clifton hailstones. I'm looking through some of the comments right now. Collapsed roofs on cars. Oh man. Far out. So this is from a subscriber, which means I can show this on stream. But this is the wall cloud that went through the Clifton area. So this is what we were looking at. This is what the thunderstorm looked like. And this is why so many people are wondering about the risk of tornadoes, because, I mean, yeah, just have a look at that. That is an extremely potent wall cloud. Just crazy stuff. that's developed in the Clifton area. And thankfully, yeah, this thunderstorm looks like it is upscaling a little bit more. So in terms of seriously dangerous conditions, it's not as crazy as what it was, but it's still a very dangerous thunderstorm and moving on a bearing of about 25-30 degrees. So this puts Mount Whitestone right in the thick of things right now. Marmar Creek, Grantham, Helidon, Gatton looks like it could maybe just miss out, but our intense hail core is still on the southern side of the storm system here, which could take it right through the Gatton area. Toowoomba, I'm going to say with a high degree of confidence right now, you're likely to be in the clear. You are likely to be in the clear from this very dangerous severe thunderstorm that's going to pass you just to the east, but I would like everybody in Toowoomba, particularly in the southeast, to remain inside and away from harm's way as this severe thunderstorm moves through. Because this thunderstorm is so dangerous, and if it does have any deviation in its track, it will move right over the Toowoomba area. So again, we just need to be making sure that we take every precaution necessary as this monster of a thunderstorm sweeps through. And again, developing thunderstorm activity now in this region of Queensland. Boonah, Beaudesert now beginning to see some lightning and thunderstorm activity. Lots of lightning and thunderstorm activity, including a bit of multicellular activity developing around the Ipswich area, and then towards the north of Brisbane as well. So out in the Moreton Bay, we've got another cell developing here. Caboolture, strong cell activity looks to be developing. Potential for heavy rainfall, large hailstones, and damaging winds. Along the southern side of the Sunshine Coast, where did I learn all of this? Well, I've been interested in the weather forever, so since I was probably about 10. Been tracking storms, looking at storms, cyclones, all of that sort of stuff, and wanted to track it on YouTube one day. So I'm very thankful for the fact that I can do it, but it is just truly gut-wrenching when we see stuff like this. I mean, this thunderstorm that went through Pratton, I mean, thankfully we didn't see those 9cm hailstones in the Clifton area. It looked likely that they were going to happen, but for Pratton, it would be utter devastation there. Absolute utter devastation. That hook echo now halfway between Toowoomba and Gatton, or approaching halfway between Toowoomba and Gatton. In fact, we could annotate that right now. This is where that rotation couplet is as that moves off into this direction here. Gatton is there. I've got Helidon right here and Toowoomba right there. Now, the very dangerous side of this thunderstorm, we've got this very dangerous hail core, which is going to be moving through those areas, but then we've also got that second hail core and intense precipitation on the backside of the system here as it begins its upscaling. Upscale means bigger, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is the difference between cyclones and severe thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms are more isolated in nature, but that's a great point. Like a cyclone like Yasi, it doesn't throw softballs at you. This isn't throwing softballs down, this is throwing cannonballs at 150 plus kilometers an hour. So, yeah. But yeah, Gatton, Helidon, remain inside, remain in your safe spot. And I would also like to raise now some warnings through the Warralong area, Marriott Brook, Jimboomba, Beaudesert. I strongly advise you head inside now and hunker down from developing severe thunderstorms, including a potential supercell developing here, which is going to move just to the north of Beaudesert, likely through Jimboomba and then up towards Logan Village. This is a very strong gust front thunderstorm developing, and I would like to say that there is a serious risk to lives and homes in the way of this severe thunderstorm that's now moving through. So, Jimboomba, Beaudesert, everywhere in between and up towards Logan Village, get inside. And this would include areas up towards Greenbank and even out towards Redbank as well, towards the east of Ipswich. Even Ipswich, I would recommend staying inside from this point onwards. This entire area is now dominated with severe thunderstorm activity. Another very powerful severe thunderstorm developing down here. This means that tonight is just getting started, or today is just getting started. And it just startles me that we're at 2 o'clock with the strongest storms expected between 3 and 4 o'clock Queensland time. So we're still at least an hour away from this strongest thunderstorm activity. And we're very likely to see something stronger than what we've seen in the Clifton area. It's still going strong. It was pulsing. It's not weakening. This thunderstorm is still going extremely well. It's got a powerful hook echo here, and it doesn't look as strong on this radar imagery, but we've got giant hailstones still moving into the Mount Whitestone area. Grantham, Helidon, Gatton inside. And dare I say, for both Grantham and Helidon, and also for Gatton, if you know friends, family there, share this stream with them, but also make sure that you are informing them directly that they need to be inside right now. They need to be in an interior room, under a coffee table, dining table, not a glass one, of course, but under a wooden one, concrete one, just anything that is going to offer some protection. And if they don't have that, they need to pull a mattress off a bed or get under a bed if they can. Hunker down immediately until the all clear is given, which is likely to be an hour away. Giant hailstones are possible. Giant hailstones are occurring, and they are a significant threat, and we will be seeing some very significant devastation to regions in this area around Gatton, Grantham and Helidon, Marmar Creek, Mount Whitestone in the next few minutes as this thunderstorm moves through. Clifton Cell is moving towards Grantham. It's on a beeline for the Grantham area right now, which means it's going to flick some hailstones out towards Gatton and Helidon. Really, really badly impact Grantham, Marmar Creek, Mount Whitestone. Winds already beginning to pick up for those locations along the gust front, which is that red line, and the hail core, which is on the southern side of that gust front. Yeah. It's never too early to get inside and hunker down. Rachel, no one is paying me to be dramatic here. We've had hailstones 9 centimetres in diameter. 9 centimetres in diameter, that hail would weigh more than a kilo. It is extremely dangerous. This thunderstorm is extremely dangerous. It is one of the strongest storms in this part of Queensland on record. It is very important to remain vigilant, and like I said, it is much better to be safe than it is to be sorry. I would much rather this storm end up dropping 2 centimetre hailstones in Gatton, but we're prepared for 8 centimetre hailstones by hunkering down and staying inside, than for people to be caught off guard. What storm are you talking about, actually, to be honest? It wouldn't be this storm here, because this is severe warn and it's confirmed to be dropping 5 centimetre hailstones. But if you're talking about a storm up in Caboolture or around Beaudesert, then those storms they're nothing compared to this one. They're just a bit of wind. Yeah. But yeah, this is just, it is such a potent thunderstorm. It's such a dangerous thunderstorm, this one. And it's so strong and so powerful, and it is impacting such a wide swathe of locations as it roars across this part of Queensland. I'm just seeing if I can see any ongoing reports in terms of what we're seeing here in regards to this hailstones that are occurring right now. Big stuff. I mean, some of these storms, they don't get bigger than this. Thank you to everybody that is watching right now. Yeah, we've got standard emergency procedures coming out from the Bureau of Meteorology. They are requesting transmitters to use the standard emergency warning signal. In other words, this is a life-threatening event. Obviously not for everyone, but this is a life-threatening event. Yeah, there's no tornadoes confirmed right now. I've just looked, there's no confirmed tornadoes through Southeast Queensland, and this also includes the Ipswich area, Toowoomba, Gatton. There's no confirmed tornado reports just yet. It's just those clouds are so low to the ground, and they are Emmaville. Oh, yeah, Emmaville, 5 to 6 centimetre hailstones. Is this in this area here? Wouldn't surprise me. But then we'd also be looking at this thunderstorm down here. Mount Joyce, Warralong, William Creek, Collaborin. Yeah, be keen to know whereabouts Emmaville is. Again, not that great with my geography. Oh, it's in New South Wales, of course. Yeah, big hailstones developing in New South Wales, and well, that's not the imagery that we want. This storm here, crossing the border now in towards New South Wales, north of Bald Rock National Park. That's got some very large hailstones in it, most likely. And then this storm here outside of Coffs Harbour, so just outside of Dorrigo here, and now moving in towards North Dorrigo, is also an extremely dangerous thunderstorm, and you need to remain inside in the path of this thunderstorm. So North Dorrigo, hunker down right now. Wollombi outside here, powerful thunderstorm now beginning to develop. This is just towards the outside of Armidale, and also for Armidale now at Uralla, we're beginning to see a potentially dangerous thunderstorm beginning to develop, and this could be heading straight for the Armidale area in New South Wales. So for New South Wales, hunker down if you are in Armidale, stay inside and stay alert for these very powerful severe thunderstorms that are beginning to develop. We've got more thunderstorm activity also developing further south as well, north of Merriwa. And powerful thunderstorm activity also beginning to develop now outside of Dunedoo and Ballamore as well in towards central New South Wales. This is a very expansive severe thunderstorm outbreak. Powerful thunderstorms also developing further towards the west out around Tara, up towards Roma, Injune, Tambo and Augathella. The main show still over the border in towards Queensland, but yeah, so much thunderstorm activity. Hail is impossible without clouds. The conditions are just right. There's enough wind shear in the environment. It's just a perfect eclectic mix of severe thunderstorm fuel. Lots of instability that comes through, and that's why we see all of our most of our severe thunderstorm activity and our supercell thunderstorm activity through the spring season. Yeah. Yeah, it's firing on all cylinders, that's for sure. The Caboolture one even could be dropping some large hailstones, particularly towards the north of Caboolture and towards the Glasshouse Mountains. This could be a storm to watch. This is definitely something to keep close tabs on right now. North of Caboolture, it's a developing cell, and it looks like it's heading out towards the Moreton Bay National Park here, so kind of on this line here. It should miss the population areas on Bribie Island, and also it should miss Birrabum as well. And the worst of it's also passing well to the north of Caboolture right now, but it is a storm worth watching. And again, we're looking at reflectivity readings here around 60 decibels. There could be some very large, potentially even giant hailstones developing in that thunderstorm. Lockyer Valley, you are in serious trouble from these severe thunderstorms. And then up towards into the Somerset region, Laidley and Esk also likely to see something. And that's a good message. Charge your devices whilst you still have power. Yeah, 2 centimetre hailstones. Okay, that does make sense for Caboolture. It's not a strong thunderstorm up there, but it is still something worth noting, and it's slow moving as well. Oh, wow. And there we go. Back with the extreme high reflectivity readings here, 70 decibels. It's still got giant hailstones. Just bypassed Flagstone Creek, but it's heading on a bearing of about 10 degrees, which is going to put it right through Helidon. Grantham, Helidon, hunker down right now. Anywhere towards the east of Tabletop Mountain and Whiffcott, hunker down immediately from these very powerful severe thunderstorms. Anywhere within this yellow line here is in immediate danger of receiving giant hailstones. That includes Helidon, Grantham, Flagstone Creek, Marmar Creek as well, and even Mountain Whitestone. Gatton may be overkill to remain hunkered down right now. It could be a little bit extreme, but it also is a good message, and it's much better to be safe than to be sorry. So I'm going to hold strong and say hunker down in Gatton, but the conditions are not likely to be as severe as what they will be in Helidon. Large, if not giant, hailstones imminent through the Helidon area as these thunderstorms race towards you at a rate of knots. Extremely dangerous, potentially life-threatening situation. Again, standard emergency warnings are being issued by the Bureau of Meteorology, and that is not something we see every day. We don't see that often from thunderstorms. We didn't, I believe we saw it from Alfred when the warnings were initially raised for a tropical cyclone, but I think the last time we saw a thunderstorm with the standard emergency warning procedure was back in Christmas 2023. Looking bad for the Gold Coast, it sure is later tonight. Lots of squalls, embedded supercells. Storm around Cecil Plains, well, I'm not forgetting about it. It's just dramatically overshadowed by the thunderstorms further towards the east rather. These are a lot of lightning. Most of them are non-severe, but we do have a strong one here towards the southwest of Chinchilla. And in fact, outside of Surat, we've now got some pretty extreme decibel readings and likely a supercell thunderstorm on our hands, if not one here as well, just to the south of Miles. And also some strong thunderstorms now beginning to build further out as well. Very strong thunderstorm moving north of Dorrigo, or north of Dorrigo now. Again, reflectivity readings into the high 60s. Paddy's Plain, hunker down. Mount Campion, hunker down as well. And then just looking further north, we sort of move into the conservation area up towards the Bobo River. Not many people, in fact, a whole lot of nothing out around here. But Lowana, watch this closely. Oolong, watch this closely. Cascade National Park, watch this closely. Ebor as well, about to see a significant thunderstorm. I'd recommend hunkering down and protect yourself from large hailstones. Armidale, the threat is growing now for large, potentially giant hailstones. 62 decibels now reading there. That could be large hailstones. And I definitely reckon with this thunderstorm here on its current trajectory, Armidale is looking very likely to see some large, if not giant hailstones very, very soon. We don't have an update just yet. And then for the Doppler wind here, still a very defined hawk echo, but it's now kind of, if you can notice in the latest frames, compared to where it was before, we had that kind of ball of very strong rotation from this severe thunderstorm. And if we push it out to the latest frame here, you can see that it's now more of a almost front. It's got a weird shape to it, but it is almost a front. You can see it here. Those winds are kind of along a bit of a front as this moves through. So it's still a rotating supercell thunderstorm, but it's now pushing out these very strong winds ahead of it. So Helidon likely to just be on the receiving end of destructive wind gusts. The risk of a tornado is pretty minimal right now. But yeah. So much to talk about with these thunderstorms. There's just so much going on. There's just so much action with all of this stuff, all of these thunderstorms that have developed. If you are brand new to the channel, I have to ask, please do consider subscribing as well. It really helps me out. It helps push this message out to more people too. So, of course, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. And it will also give you access to the first notifications for the live coverage that is going to happen later this afternoon into this evening as really powerful severe thunderstorms develop through southeastern Queensland. We're going to be doing a lot of live coverage on that as well. And a lot of thunderstorm activity developing out here as well. Once this dry line begins to push further towards the east, we will see these thunderstorms, or powerful thunderstorms, developing in this area once again. And you know, Clifton right here, they could be in for a round at 2. We hope not, but the chances are going to be there. Yeah, there is just so much going on with these thunderstorms. And just to have a look, checking back in about this Brisbane thunderstorm situation that we're seeing, you can see it's now starting to look, I mean, this is a very low contrast imagery that we're beginning to see here, but it's looking a lot more haily. And I mean, I'm even seeing a bit of green now developing in some of this cloud here. I mean, it's green on my imagery. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the screen, but I'm starting to see a little bit of green developing. And this is obviously looking down towards the south west. We should definitely flick over. Yeah, Gatton looking at some giant hailstones, or giant hailstones developing now. And that would mean that all of the storms, or now this Ipswich storm, because a lot of these thunderstorms here, or at least where that green tinge is, Ipswich over here where that strongest green is, yeah, it definitely looks like we've got a bit of a hail or a multicellular storm that's going to drop some small hailstones around the Ipswich area very soon. Helidon, hunker down. Next 5 minutes is go time for these thunderstorms. Very dangerous thunderstorm moving into the Helidon area. You need to act now to protect your life. Interior room, interior bathroom, get a table or a mattress over your head. You need to act now in order to protect your life and your safety and the safety of those around you. And by extension, further out towards the east as well, there's dangerous thunderstorms now beginning to develop. Jimboomba, Bow Desert, You need to all hunker down, and I'm just going to circle the area because there's just too much going on in some of these areas. In this area, well, because we've got this line of thunderstorms now beginning to push through, we'll be looking at areas in this area, which include the Logan Village area. Not quite Logan City, but this will also include Mount Tamborine too. Dangerous thunderstorms could develop at any point in time through these locations. So that includes Canungra here, Mount Tamborine through here, inland from Coomera through the holiday parks of the beautiful Southeast Queensland coastline, Greenbank here, Redbank a little bit further up included in that, the southern parts of the Logan City area and Logan Village, which is located here, and as well as Jimboomba, Bow Desert, Coolabin, Boonah, and then Rathdowney, which is further south as well. And also, like I said, a bit of hail now beginning to appear to develop around the Ipswich area. A lot of these thunderstorms could develop on a moment's notice. So Ipswich, I would recommend considering moving the car inside now and getting inside and away from these thunderstorms. 3 centimeter hailstones at Grantham. You guys are on the outer edge of these severe thunderstorms in Grantham right here, and we've got those reflectivity readings on the radar imagery here of about 60 decibels compared to closer to about 70 decibels here north of Flagstone Creek, now moving in towards Helidon. Likely giant hailstones into the Helidon area as we speak right now. Get inside, get away from these thunderstorms. 3 centimeter hail at Grantham will likely put giant hailstones right over the small town of Helidon. And again, Withcott also hunker down, obviously Helidon, and basically anywhere along the A2 out towards Gatton, hunker down. And eventually your turn will come as well, Murphy's Creek. It looks like the storms will pass just towards the east of Murphy's Creek and up into the Lockyer National Park. But eventually it looks like strong severe thunderstorm activity will move into the Lockyer and then eventually on towards Esk as well. Situation for New South Wales. I should know where that is. I can't even pronounce that. My apologies. Thank you for the kind words as well. So we're looking at Waichope. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Well, that's in the Northern Territory. That's no use to us. But we're looking at New South Wales. Here's some of the Port Macquarie Council. Yeah, a lot of thunderstorms in the vicinity, and we could be looking at some potentially severe thunderstorms as well in the Waichope area outside of Port Macquarie. But again, a walk in the park compared to what they will be across northern New South Wales and into southeastern Queensland. But still expect some small hailstones, some potentially large hailstones as well. And we may also be talking about potentially giant hailstones between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. tonight through that part of New South Wales. This thunderstorm here south of Stanthorpe rather, now dropping some large and potentially giant hailstones. That could be a dangerous one. And it's moving east-northeasterly, which will put Urbanville and Old Bonalbo, those sort of areas in the path of this potentially dangerous severe thunderstorm as well. Helidon being smashed. Apologise for that. That was a picture that fell down. Helidon being really badly beat up right now by these large, potentially giant hailstones along the Lockyer Creek. Oh, Warhope. It's a funky pronunciation, but what do we expect in Australia? We've got a lot of funky pronunciations. Far out. Warhope. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, it was the beer can pile. My voice medication from last night got caught out there. But yeah, it was a picture that fell down off the window, crashing into it. I haven't even said Oki today, apart from the embarrassment yesterday, but I haven't said Oki today, so let's not bring that up until I make that mistake again, which I won't. 66 decibels in some of these storms here, large, potentially giant hailstones. There's no tornado right now. It's not a fair comparison to compare this to a tropical cyclone. So comparing these thunderstorms to Alfred, it's just not a fair comparison because they're just completely different weather events, unfortunately. We don't have a fair comparison apart from the 2023 Christmas storms that came through. So in terms of how widespread and far-reaching the impacts are going to be, nowhere near. But in terms of how strong these thunderstorms are going to be, they're going to be a lot stronger than Alfred. And I cited a comment in the chat about an hour ago was, we're talking about cyclones. Cyclones don't throw softballs at you, and thunderstorms don't last for 12 hours. So do without what you will. But in terms of comparing it, we can't compare it to a tropical cyclone, but it is a very threatening weather event in its own right. Yeah, it stacks up compared to the 2008 one. Lots of grey in the Lismore area. Yeah, big thunderstorms building around Lismore. In fact, right over the top of you as well, some thunderstorms. But particularly out south of Liston and Stanthorpe, very strong thunderstorms well inland. And significant stuff now developing as well further inland. Once this thunderstorm moves into the Lockyer National Park in about half an hour, I'm going to take a brief break here on the stream, but we will be back later on. So, of course, please consider subscribing to the CyclonesOZ channel so that you get the first notification for when we return on air with live coverage later this evening with these massive severe thunderstorms, because we're still in warm-up mode through Southeast Queensland. Can you believe it? We are still in warm-up mode with these thunderstorms. They are going to get stronger. They are going to be more widespread. They're going to impact more people through Brisbane and the Gold Coast. It is going to get better. For thunderstorms, I mean, not for Southeast Queenslanders. Looks like I need a comment moderator. Yeah, moving towards the east of Toowoomba. See if we do have an update on the severe thunderstorm situation. Not quite yet, unfortunately. I would really like to see an update here very soon. Some very, very dangerous thunderstorms moving through this area. Very, very strong thunderstorms. Big potential as well later today we're going to be talking about. So we need to really keep an eye on the conditions, because they're just perfect for these thunderstorms. We've seen it already. Like I said in this morning's bulletin, the thunderstorm situation, it just doesn't get better than what we're looking at right now for Southeast Queensland. 9 centimetre hailstones. It's a unicorn type day to produce 9 centimetre hailstones. And we had that today, and we've still got those conditions. There's still so much energy and instability in the environment, particularly further inland as well, with these massive clusters of storms developing out here. We could be seeing something truly massive out there as well. So, yeah, like I said, a unicorn of a day through these parts of Queensland. It just does not get more favourable for severe thunderstorms than it does today. Plenty of sporadic rainfall and maybe some small hailstones developing into the Brisbane city area as well. Thunderstorms beginning to push in towards the Logan area. And as we talked about 20 minutes ago, it's definitely time to consider moving cars inside and getting out of harm's way as these thunderstorms build towards the west, southwest and south of Brisbane. Yeah, it really is a really, really serious situation. All of these thunderstorms that are moving through. Party tonight in the Brisbane area. So the thing with thunderstorms is that they're not everywhere all the time. So it will still be safe to venture out at times and between thunderstorms, but it's kind of a case of watch the radar closely, watch the situation closely, and interpret what you can from it. And of course, stay tuned to this live coverage here to make sure that you know the latest, because we're tracking these thunderstorms live and giving you the latest information on them. But for these thunderstorms, it's important to remember that they're not everywhere, not all of the time, and things change, things will differ. So there's not one solid answer for the Brisbane area, but in terms of what I would recommend, I wouldn't be going out tonight. I would be staying inside. I would be staying away and out of harm's way, and I would be making the most of the live information coming out from multiple sources and staying out of harm's way from these thunderstorms. So yes, it is technically safe to go to a party tonight, but it's probably not the best idea. Anyways, thanks for those kind words as well. I don't do this for the money. I could probably make a bucket more than what I'm potentially making right now. But no, I do this because I enjoy it, and I do this because it is a truly amazing thing, an amazing opportunity. So Helidon, these thunderstorms are now moving towards the northeast. It looks like the conditions are now beginning to ease up in the Helidon area, which is good news. We still very much have that strong kind of hook echo / gust front. You can see that embedded rotation within that Gatton storm, the one that went through Clifton. It's still very strong, and it's still very much packing a strong punch, but it's not as powerful anymore. That those winds are now beginning to become a little bit more widespread and a little bit less potent and powerful. This thunderstorm here now moving over the Lockyer River Valley area and into the Lockyer National Park. It is going to begin to weaken off a little bit as it interacts with some of the mountains there. Nigel Fisher, thank you so much for that generous tip as well. Thank you so much to everybody that has supported, interacted, and sent through anything today. It is just massively, massively appreciated. It is just hectic. Gatton, you've dodged the worst of this storm here, but there is still some large hail that is going to move around the Gatton area. And I would like to say, and I recommend to Gatton, stay inside and stay out of harm's way with these thunderstorms. It's still possible that we see some very serious severe thunderstorm activity around the Gatton area. Grantham is being peppered right now with some small, potentially large hailstones and maybe even some giant hailstones. But Gatton, stay inside, stay in your safe spot until we give the all clear. Helidon, all clear will be coming in about 2 or 3 minutes, as long as we don't see any kind of new residual cell stuff develop. But it looks like the worst is still yet to come for the Gatton area. Thunderstorms still looking very strong around the Gatton region. Just extremely, extremely crazy stuff. Some of these thunderstorms, they are super, super potent indeed. Thank you so much for the generous donation as well. And thank you so much to Grantifa for becoming a channel sponsor. Freedom Mr. FR33, that's very, very kind indeed. Very, very grateful. And thank you so much to everybody that has sent through something. Of course, I don't ask for anything. This is a free service for every Australian to enjoy and make the most of. But I do appreciate those that are in a position to give a little extra as well. That's very, very much appreciated. And Darren Ora, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Frank Pace, storm for Sheldon. Let's see whereabouts that is. So this is the Sheldon, if we can find Sheldon. Oh, so Sheldon is in the Redland City area. It's going to get quite hairy later this afternoon. After about 3:30, 4 o'clock, we're going to start to see storms building in those areas, and we will see significant thunderstorm activity much later on today. Starlight, thank you so much for those 5 sponsorship. That is massively appreciated. And again, all of those people will be, from Taylor Ann, thank you so much for that. All of those will be put onto the end of every video update from this point going forward. Again, thank you so much to everybody that is a channel sponsor as well. 65 decibels on the radar reading here. Very powerful stuff, potent stuff. In fact, this is a very strong thunderstorm. Yeah, I'm seeing quite a lot of reports of, particularly on my Facebook feed, of why do we need a shelter under a bed or a table if a roof is not serious enough, because this is just how strong these thunderstorms are. They are so powerful that they will break roofs. 9cm hailstones are a massive concern. 5cm hailstones are generally not as bad, and they won't smash roofs up as bad as what 9cm hailstones but when we're talking about those 9cm hailstones coming through, which is what we saw towards the southwest of Clifton, the only safe spot for you is either underground or under a table, under a bed, under a mattress, something to protect your head, because these thunderstorms are just so dangerous. Brisbane Bayside, Manly area is looking for this evening, same as the Redland City area that we just talked about. But yeah, strong thunderstorms from about 3:30, 4 o'clock, powerful winds, strong hail or strong rainfall rates, and also some pretty significant hail is also possible. Smithstein 79, thank you for that very generous donation as well. And yeah, minus 77-degree cloud tops that are shooting over from these thunderstorms. They're very powerful indeed. Trent G, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. But yeah, those cloud tops are a great measurement of how strong these thunderstorms are. Gatton, you've dodged that hail caught 70 decibels. That's wild. So if this is throwing out 70 decibels on the reflectivity here, that's indicative of at least 5cm hailstones. Grantham, I would love to hear a report from what's happened in the Grantham area. Apparently we've got a new warning as well. Still labelled as very dangerous. Laidley will clip it. 5cm hailstones at Nobby. 5cm hailstones at Clifton, so that was a bit earlier. And again, Nobby is just down here. Maybe Nobby's down here. Oh, Nobby's here. That's so out of date. That's 45 minutes behind. That's quite disappointing, to be honest. But Grantham, very likely to have seen some very significant hailstones there. Kerry, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. And yeah, in terms of the risk for the Toowoomba area, very minimal, at least in the next half an hour or so. The next round is going to be when these severe thunderstorms through here begin pushing towards the Cecil Plains and then eventually Tara and Toowoomba area. And we're already beginning to see strong thunderstorm activity, which is our next round of supercells developing around the Goondiwindi area north of Inglewood. These will push in towards the Toowoomba area over the next hour or two. So you've got about 2 hours of calm in the Toowoomba area. But this Gatton storm here, very, very powerful indeed. Very significant stuff. Samantha, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Yeah, this is just crazy. I've never seen anything like this tracking severe thunderstorms. Lots of lightning now into the Ipswich area. Significant amount of lightning there. And then, yeah, further inland as well, these thunderstorms really getting themselves going. Alright, let's give another warning out for these thunderstorms. So ahead of us, Gatton still need to hunker down. Grantham as well, hunker down. Helidon, Flagstone Creek, Tent Hill, Mount Whitestone, you are in the all clear. Forest Hill, hunker down. Large hailstones are imminent. Laidley, I would recommend hunkering down. I would recommend getting inside if you're in Laidley. This is a dangerous thunderstorm and it could shoot out some large hailstones into the Laidley area. Not overly likely right now, but definitely hunker down. Plainland as well, I would recommend getting inside. Around the Lockyer Creek up towards Cominya and then out towards Lake Wivenhoe and the Atkinson Dam. Consider moving to a safe spot right now. This is a pretty remote part of Queensland, but through the Ravensbourne National Park, Lockyer National Park, Esk National Park, and then up towards Esk, I would recommend making preparations now for this imminent severe thunderstorm. This includes Cominya, as we just talked about as well, and then anywhere towards the north and the northwest of Lowood, exclusive of Lowood. Lowood is likely to dodge this thunderstorm. However, what I'm beginning to see now is a cell down here. Now, what could happen is over the next 20 minutes, we could see this thunderstorm upscale into a large multicellular thunderstorm and move through with a strong gust front, bringing large hailstones, damaging winds, and heavy rainfall, which could eventually impact the Lowood area. So for Lowood, we need to watch the situation closely. There could be some significant conditions in the Lowood area, and it's something that we need to be keeping very close tabs on right now out there. Same with Fernvale, and then eventually out towards the Wivenhoe outlook and inland from Esk. We could be seeing some strong thunderstorms. So those are the warnings, those are the watches for this thunderstorm here. In terms of Brisbane, there is significant thunderstorm activity now developing around the Ipswich area. This is going to push in towards the Samford Valley and around the Mount Nebo and the Diagla National Park towards the northwest of Brisbane, then eventually in about half an hour into the Strathpine area as potentially a strong or even dangerous thunderstorm. Thunderstorm activity beginning to develop now around the Logan City area. Strong thunderstorms moving over Mount Tamborine, which is located here. An isolated sporadic thunderstorm activity towards the south and southeast of Canungra. Thunderstorms are strong over the border into New South Wales with a potentially dangerous severe thunderstorm here that is not severe warned by BOM, which is interesting. To say the least, that is moving in towards the Bonnelbow area as well. Significant impacts are possible as that thunderstorm moves through, and again, about half an hour away from a population centre. North of Dorrigo, heading in this direction here, strong thunderstorm potential, mostly through National Park. We're looking at this thunderstorm here through the very sparsely populated areas of the State Conservation and the Cascade National Park up here, but I would recommend Oolong, Lowana, hunker down out of harm's way from this powerful severe thunderstorm. Around the Armidale area, we've got some strong thunderstorm activity as well moving around there. I've completely forgotten where Armidale is apparently, but we've got a strong thunderstorm dropping some potentially large hailstones moving just south of Armidale. This thunderstorm here, still hunker down in Armidale. It's not as severe as those Queensland storms, but still some small hailstones moving through there. And then outside of Aralla as well, a developing thunderstorm situation there. I would recommend getting to a safe spot in the Aralla area right now. And apart from that, we do have a few more sporadic severe thunderstorms beginning to develop, but the real thunderstorm activity is beginning to get going now. This is round 2. This is the real stuff that we're talking about developing along this dry line here out in this part of Queensland. Incredibly dense lightning activity in these thunderstorms. They are strong, powerful, nasty north of Goondiwindi, Fallon and St. George. This is significant stuff and something to be taken seriously. We're looking at a storm imminently moving into the Gold Coast area with some heavy rainfall and potentially some small hailstones as well. That's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. Gold Coast, there is no need to hunker down, but I would recommend getting home, getting off the roads and staying inside, away from the lightning as these thunderstorms move through, but definitely towards the north and the north towards the north of the Brisbane River, including Brisbane and some of those southern suburbs as far south as Camp Hill, and then down to the Logan City area. We will be talking about some thunderstorm activity moving through those areas, and then eventually, like I said, into the Strathpine area too. So yeah, those are our current warnings. That's the information right now. That's the important stuff that you need to be aware of for these severe thunderstorms. But I'm going to take a quick break from this live stream here, but I'll be returning about 20 minutes later. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Please do subscribe and you'll get the push notification as soon as we go live once again on the second round of these severe thunderstorms. Very powerful stuff is expected to occur, and we'll be looking at these thunderstorms live in about half an hour once again. Thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in for this hour or 3 of live coverage. It is massively appreciated, and to everybody that has sent through a donation or become a channel sponsor as well, you are also massively appreciated. I could not only run this show without them, and of course, as always, thank you so much. You'll get your name mentioned at the end of every single forecast update. This is a rapidly evolving situation. It is a very serious situation, and one that is to be taken extremely seriously as well. So we will be back straight away with the live coverage on this severe thunderstorm situation, and I'll have some more information in regards to what we can be expecting with these very powerful severe thunderstorms. But that is going to do it for me for now. I'll see you in 20 minutes or half an hour once I've caught my breath and got ready for the second round of severe weather coverage, which is going to last for at least 3 hours. But thank you so much for tuning into this stream, and I'll see you on in the next one.